welcome everybody to this convoluted. I can't even say it.
Take a shot.
That's quick. Um, Semi-convoluted video. In the respect that we're predicting three awards, and I don't mean like three ceremonies. I mean no, literally three things. But because it counts towards the almighty predictions, it matters. Damn it.
Well, yeah, I guess that if this needs an explanation, it was basically the whole thing of usually we do the guilds together, PGA, DGA, WGA, and SAG. But the thing is DGA is next week, a week from what yesterday, and it's too early to do SAG. WGA is not even out yet, so this is what you get.
Thanks, DGA, letting the side down. Um, so yeah, we'll also dabble a bit of Q&A afterwards as well. Um, I think some of you are putting some stuff in for at the minute, but yeah, I'm Ashley, your intro person, and joining me as ever is AJ and Owen.
So, I don't know. I feel like I need to show this for some reason, and I feel like I kind of need to show this for some reason, and I kind of feel like it makes sense to be wearing this on the day like today. Yeah. Let the games begin. Are you ready for it?
Wait, did Water Parks win a Grammy? What?
My God, that'd be amazing, wouldn't it? I love that.
We might as well touch on that because award season stuff has been happening with the Grammys. Because
Yes.
as usual, there's about 17 hours worth of awards to present, so that's why some of them are presented before it even actually starts. The two key ones for us being, we'll say, I guess three technically. Uh, Billie Eilish's "What Was I Made For" got Best Song written for visual media, beating out the other Barbie songs and last year's "Lift Me Up" from Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. But Barbie's compilation soundtrack also got the compilation soundtrack Grammy, beating out the fake album from Daisy Jones and the Six, along with the soundtracks to Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, Guardians Volume 3, and the Weird Al Yankovic Story soundtrack album. And then in what predominantly, or no, was a mix of last year and this year, Oppenheimer got Best Score soundtrack, beating out Fableman's Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Is that why it got in the Oscars? Because it got a Grammy. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever and the Barbie soundtrack score.
As I'm seeing Grammys getting updated as we're speaking, Ashley, I do want to throw out another thing. That music film actually went to Moon Age Daydream.
Yes, beating out I Am Everything, which I think was in contention in the shortlist
I believe
of
so.
the Oscars. None of the and Dear Mama showed up somewhere, but I think yeah, because that's Doc miniseries. I think that was in, was it Critics' Choice,
Sounds right.
something like that. And then the Lewis Capaldi and Kendrick Lamar ones are just concert things. So we know that in 12 months' time, if that doesn't go to Taylor Swift's Eras tour, boy, there's going to be some angry people.
Yeah, I'm so all about not mixing and matching years that hearing movies from this year in the same categories as movies from last year is just really fucking with me. It's weird.
Mm,
It's
I agree.
unnatural.
Oh, and Chappelle
It
got
doesn't help that you're running on like zero sleep too, so I'm sure that probably adds to it as well.
Star
It's
Wars: The
all just
Rise
a.
of. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say like Barbie running alongside Black Panther 2 is like a fever dream at the moment. I guess you could say.
Oh, Star Wars Jedi Survivor beat out Call of Duty, God of War, Hogwarts Legacy, and Stray Gods, the role-playing musical for video game stuff. And Chappelle got comedy album, beating out Noah, Wanda Sykes, Chris Rock, and Sarah Silverman. We're still waiting on audiobooks, which means that, I mean, there's a chance that Meryl might be... Is Meryl already an EGOT? That's what I'm trying to actually
She has a
check.
Tony?
I don't know. That's what I'm looking. Emmys, Golden Globes. Yeah, she's been nominated for Grammys before, but never won.
It's funny. It literally says
she was-
on Google, has Meryl Streep ever won a Tony? Yes.
No.
She's been nominated,
She
but
was
she's never won.
nominated for 27 Wagons Full of Cotton.
Yep.
The Tennessee Williams play. But you know, it could be another step of her being, you know, 3/4 of the way to an EGOT.
Yeah, she has been
Going
nominated.
up against the eclectic list of Michelle Obama, Bernie Sanders, Rick Rubin, and William Shatner. It's the American way.
Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness.
So we'll keep an eye on that, see if Meryl is 3/4 of the way to an EGOT. But yeah, we'll certainly touch on... I should probably add that in here. Predictions start at...
Okay.
Let's say 9 minutes, just to be on the safe side. We're close enough. So yeah, we will briefly touch on the DGA nominations, and I'm guessing, as usual, we start with the documentary one.
That will work.
Have you got the list, AJ, or do you want me to go through them?
I have it.
Okay, no problem.
I gotta find it. Hold on.
All right. Okay, for documentaries, I'm just gonna say the titles. We have When the People's President, 20 Days of Mariupol, Beyond Utopia, Still, and Kokomo City. I'm just gonna... we could try to think this and overthink this as much as we can. I'm just gonna go with the obvious and say 20 Days in Mariupol.
Ashley.
I'm also going with 20 Days in Mariupol, but I've actually seen Beyond Utopia because it was put on as part of Storyville, and to some extent it's very Mariupol-esque in that Beyond Utopia is about North Koreans trying to flee North Korea and how crazy that situation is. That's why I'm kind of surprised that it didn't make it in, because it seemed like perfect Oscar material. Then again, maybe they felt that was too similar in sort of style to Mariupol, although it's more of a war there than it is. But yeah, I'll stick with 20 Days in Mariupol. It seems to be the one that has the right momentum, but I'd like to see Beyond Utopia get this.
So this is a category full of a lot of first-timers and one notable exception. Everybody in this category has never been nominated before except for one, and that's Davis Guggenheim, who did Still, Michael J. Fox movie. Apparently, he was also nominated in 2010 for Waiting for Superman, and it makes sense in my head to go with that just because. But going against people who have never been nominated before, there's a narrative there, and I feel that 20 Days in Mariupol is very solid where it is in placement right now. I don't see it losing. Now, I say that, it'll happen. But yeah, I feel like I'm going to join the panel here, and I think we're all going to go 20 days across the board.
Yeah, I had said I'm going with the obvious when I said 20 Days of Mariupol, but if you pretty much look at any other award ceremony, Still would be the obvious one.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And it's going to bug me when it wins, because I'll be like, I said it first, I had a story for it. Nope, didn't go with it. Oh well.
All right, so
The interesting one, the first time features, yeah.
We got American Fiction, Chilla 76, Shada, 1001, and Past Lives.
Tough.
So they've gone pretty random with this before.
Right.
So you could say somebody that's not Cord Jefferson or Celine Song, and your first choice might be A.V. Rockwell. It could be the other two, just totally randomly. But just to make this easy, I put it between Cord Jefferson and Celine Song. And while I feel like it could be either one, I'm gonna say Celine Song.
Ashley.
I'll add it to Celine's song as well, but I'm honestly not sure whether 1001 could make it here as well. I think that's more in it than I think some people are saying. It's just, oh well, it's got to be the other two.
Sure.
But I'd like to see Celine's song at least get some recognition, because I think Past Lives is going to struggle getting screenplay, I would have thought.
Yeah, I feel like we know what the screenplay race is, and I hate how much Past Lives isn't one of those two.
Yeah, it's not going to be a women are talking situation where it actually gets an award and get there. I think this is a 0 out of 2 rather than a 1 out of 2, like 12 months ago.
If Past Lives if Anatomy of a Fall and The Holdovers weren't the race, like if they weren't here, I'd probably have more faith in it. But those two are just they're in a gladiator arena by themselves.
Yeah, AJ alluded to it earlier, and Ashley kind of was hinting around it as well. Cannot discount A.V. Rockwell here at all. I mean, I can't say distant third place. I feel like they're in this a little bit more than people think they are. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's Cord Jefferson versus Celine Song, as it should be. Part of me just wants to go with Cord Jefferson here and break up the monotony of us going with the same thing. But, at this point, I feel like this is the consolation prize. I feel like this is what Celine Song's going to win. She deserves it. And I love American Fiction a lot. But I also was very fortunate to finally see Past Lives theatrically. And I'm very happy to say that. And it's not changed my opinion on the movie. I still love it just as much as I did when I watched it on an airplane. But technically speaking, that's not streaming, so I still win. The thing is, at the end of the day, this is Celine Song's award to lose at this point, and I don't think it's going to happen. So yeah, I'm going to, again, across the board, Celine Song.
Yeah, because somebody could make the argument that American Fiction performed a lot better on nominations morning than Past Lives.
Right.
But I just feel like it doesn't always add up that way. Like I've been saying it all season, I think, is not everything is a math equation that adds up.
Not at all. Speaking of not adding up, let's go with Dirctor.
All right. I don't want to seem biased towards these people by actually saying their names, but it's It's Gerwig for Barbie, Lanthimos for Poor Things, Nolan for Oppenheimer, Payne for The Holdovers, and Scorsese for Kills the Flower Moon. So, the thing about the guild part of the race is that we've been through Globe and Critics' Choice at this point. And even though we've talked about how Globe and Critics' Choice don't really matter because they're not an industry award, they're not voted on by the industry. They're voted on by people who think they're in the industry, but they're separate. But the thing about that is when somebody or something wins more than once between Globe and Critics' Choice, it's easy to start to think that that's what's going to win forever. So the same person won Best Director at Globe and Critics' Choice. So it'd be very easy to say, "Oh, Nolan's sweeping now." The guilds can change everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like if say Lanthimos were to win this, that would not just say something about Lanthimos. That would say something about Poor Things as a whole, and something could completely take over when DGA and PGA happen, and SAG even really. Do not underestimate the SAG Ensemble winners. They will come from behind and cut some throats. All that being said, though, I'm gonna go with my heart and say that Nolan does continue, fingers crossed, even though I love Scorsese and Lanthimos and really like Payne, and Gerwig's fine.
Ashley.
I'm much. If we're talking female directors, I'm much more of a Justine Triet, Celine Song person. But you know, that's the way it goes, I guess.
Part of me
Thank you.
feels that this is a 3-horse race, which means thanks for playing Greta and Scorsese.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel it is the sort of the modern take of Lanthimos versus the 70s, 80s take that Holdovers is, that people might appreciate, like actually directing it in that style. But then you have the monolith of they still haven't given a DGA to Nolan.
Mm-hmm.
That to me outweighs the others too much, but that is basically me saying I think Lanthimos and Payne are the ones that clearly could take this and make it interesting. Because I'm intrigued. I'm trying to remember. Payne's unlikely to take BAFTA. Because, of course, Lanthimos isn't there because Bradley Cooper's a thing.
Well, last year, BAFTA gave director to somebody that didn't have an Oscar nomination. It's not impossible.
True. But you know, I'm still sticking with Nolan. I think this is Nolan's Departed. I'm probably going to say that again every time we come up to this in the next few months. Then again, didn't Scorsese didn't win everything for The Departed that year, right?
I think he won everything, but The Departed lost to Little Miss Sunshine a lot.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
And I think Babel got the Globe that year for picture, but I think Scorsese won consistently for director.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
I remember that season pretty vividly.
2006 in film. I'm trying to see if there's a list of like the actual award winners.
Before Owen goes, there is one more thing I wanted to mention about Gerwig. And that is that I suppose if somebody were to try to predict DGA, there's probably going to be some people that say, is there enough backlash for Gerwig to be Ben Affleck? Like I was saying, the Barbie, not just... There's so much about Barbie's narrative throughout this entire award season, even pre-nominations, that feels so fabricated to me. The whole Critics' Choice Love Fest felt fabricated, and the outrage for the snubs feels fabricated. Because like I said, if you're watching the race, Gerwig and Robbie's snubs aren't from out of nowhere. So I could see somebody making that argument. I certainly hope it doesn't come to that, because it will just be oh, here's to satisfy everybody's fake outrage. Here, Gerwig, have this.
In updated news, Streep is still halfway to a EGOT. Michelle Obama's narration got best narrated thing. And then also, because I double checked, Scorsese did not sweep that year. BAFTA decided to give it to Greengrass for United 93.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
Everything else he won, including the Guild, I think. So
I think I said I remember that season vividly. I guess I should correct myself. I think I still barely knew what BAFTA was at that time. So
but yeah, I'm just double checking. Yeah, it won everything directorial wise on the major awards apart from BAFTA. Wow, only just realised, looking at the Departed accolades page, it got nominated 6 times, didn't win a single one. But got 4 Oscars, so
I remember being not only because it was my favorite movie of that year and became one of my top 5 movies of all time. I remember being genuinely shocked when it won picture. It felt like it came out of nowhere, and it was glorious. That was a glorious night.
DGA's tough because the only person that has won a DGA in this lineup is Scorsese, and he won for The Departed. Everybody else has been nominated or their first time nominations. Greta was nominated for Lady Bird, and Payne was nominated for Descendants and Sideways. And of course, Nolan has got the 4 that he was nominated for, which means that it's obvious that they want to reward Nolan. And I feel this is the opus that's going to be when he finally gets his flowers. This is Lanthimos' first shot too, and it's basically like swinging for the fences too, with something as like outrageous and weirdly enough beloved as Poor Things is. I mean, I don't know anybody that doesn't like the movie. The thing that has actually seen it. Obviously, the Greta fan in me is going to be okay with her winning DGA because I know it goes no further, and that's a consolation prize, but that would be fine. Lanthimos winning this would be great because at this point, we need a challenger for Oppenheimer. Whether it's going to be an actual challenger or just a fabricated one, we need something that's actually going to challenge it. So it's one of those things that's like, it's not just a foregone conclusion. Oppenheimer's winning everything. I'm fine with that. I'm fine
in any other year, I'd agree with you. I'm good with
Yeah.
But right now, I'm good with Oppenheimer having no challenger.
I'm fine with that, but I'd like it to be a little more fun. When something is too obvious, it's no longer fun, no matter how much you love it.
And if it'd be like a more earned victory if it had a challenger.
So if Lanthimos would take this, or my surprise, if Payne takes this, I could see visibility for either movie being a real contender to Oppenheimer. But at this point, if the train keeps rolling, which I'm fine with, given the fact I had one of my worst award seasons ever last year, I'm completely fine with nearly anything, save one notable exception, winning Best Picture at this point. And the main challengers at this rate are all things I either liked or loved, so I'm fine with that. Completely okay with this season. But let's make it interesting. Are they going to go with anything else? Probably not. But I implore you, Academy voters, let's make this interesting. BAFTA voters, let's make this interesting. SAG Ensemble voters, let's make this interesting. Give Oppenheimer some competition, because if not, Nolan's going to skirt his way to the end without any competition at all.
Not too much competition, just enough to make it look like there's competition.
Yeah, let's make it fun. In the end, Oppenheimer can win everything, and I'm fine with that. But give me some competition, because if not, and if it continues like this, it's gonna be a real boring season. But sometimes boring is good.
Well, we've got
in any way, shape, or form.
Well, the acting races will keep it interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Two of them. The leading acting races will keep it interesting.
Agreed. And part of me just wants to go with Payne here and shoot for the stars, but I'm not going to. It's Nolan's time. This is Nolan's year, and he deserves it. So 3 awards, and we went with the same thing for all 3 awards.
Speaking of Payne, my Blu-ray got here.
Nice.
So I'll be watching Randolph very closely to see what I might be missing.
Dude,
Like I said, I'm perfectly fine with a good quiet performance, but when you look at the competition, the sweep of it is baffling to me.
I've seen it twice in 2 sold-out showings. I still don't understand completely why this is happening. And
I understand why it's great. Don't get me wrong. And it's like the moment specifically, everybody talks about the kitchen scene at the Christmas party.
Yeah.
The scene right before that with the record player.
Yep, the record player is one of my favorites.
Where she's fine, then she snaps, then she looks like she's gonna cry, then she orders another drink. It's like 4 different emotions in the span of like 10 seconds.
Right.
It's like, I get it. It's great. But the sweep is bothering me.
It's easy. 3 for 3. We're either going to get 3 points or we're going to get 0 points.
So basically, this was pointless. It does nothing to the points at all.
It's pointless other than it's something outside of our predictions, at least within documentary and feature. Could sway what happens at the Oscars, maybe.
All right, so are we just winging it now, or?
There might be some stuff with the Q&A.
Yeah, because what I initially said was, so what, do we just do DGA and then we just bullshit for a little bit? And then Owen was the one that said, why don't we just make it a Q&A, I guess.
And fun fact, I can say this right now because I have a schedule. AJ, you'll have it soon. April 8th, we're going to do the same thing with WGA.
Yeah.
Except because that will still be free because it'll be adapted original and documentary. So
the big conversation will be, are they assuming anything that wins at the Oscars is even nominated to WGA given the eligibility? We get to have the nice conversation of, are they going to intentionally not pick the Oscar winner, or are they just going to go with the Oscar winner?
Yeah.
I can't wait until we get to original screenplay, and everything in WGA will be basically ineligible for WGA, apart from Barbie, which for the Oscars will be an adapted. So then it's literally gonna be get the dice, the done. Natural 20.
Okay.
Shit.
Okay. Okay. So I guess while we're kind of in limbo here as far as what we're gonna talk about, I do have a worry that kind of goes along with what I was talking about with Gerwig, and I don't want it to sound like I'm like anti Barbie or anti Gerwig. I mean, throughout her directing career, I've made it clear that, or no, her career in general. I like her as a director more as an actress, so it goes back.
The BS, AJ.
Yeah, that I'm just not. I've never just kind of really been a Gerwig fan from the beginning.
Right.
That's all that it is.
I know that. I know that better than anyone here.
I don't want it to sound like blind hate or anything.
I can assure you 100% he's not been a fan since day one. And I can assure you that I have been.
But the thing about it is, I have the same worry I had for 2019 when Todd Phillips got nominated for Joker instead of her for Little Women, and everybody lost their fucking minds.
Right.
Even though that's another scenario where it felt like she was not that in the conversation, that it warranted that reaction. But that's back when we didn't have the batch of female directors that we do now. Where we had, you know, Justine Triet and Celine Song and even others that weren't in the conversation that could have been. I'm really fucking worried they're gonna try to make a narrative out of this snub bullshit. Snub in quotes. And all of these great people nominated for adapted screenplay are going to get overlooked just so they can say, oh, let's give Greta something because she was wronged in the category she wasn't even guaranteed to get in the first place. Now, like I said, I had that worry for Little Women, and Taika Waititi won still.
Mhm.
It was like, oh, good. They don't think about it that way. That's good. They don't do it just, oh, since you didn't get this, we have to give you this. I really hope Barbie doesn't win adapted screenplay in that fashion, because look at its competition.
Yeah, but wouldn't it? The better angle for everything probably would be it getting Best Picture, because then Greta gets the Oscar she never got for directing, and Robbie gets the Oscar she never got for actually performing in it. That's your big cover, sort of your coverall, because then
Can we
you
get
take out two birds with 17 stone.
And I don't want to sound like I'm jumping to conclusions, because obviously people genuinely love the movie and they would genuinely vote for it, those people.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think it just all comes back to when you look at the competition, though. It definitely becomes much more of a, and I don't think Gerwig herself would want a charity victory.
Definitely not.
She'd want a real, genuine victory. And I would with just how manufactured so many of Barbie's narratives have been this season, which is not even a fault of Gerwig's, because Critics' Choice was doing their thing, which obviously, like I said, Ashley pointed out, there was the Warner Brothers connection with the network, not to get too conspiracy heavy. And then, like I said, this outrage over the snubs, you have to have been. I feel like I'm talking in circles now, because I think this is maybe the third video we've had to have this conversation, but I just don't. And I know there'll be a lot of people that say, like, you know, all Oscar wins are bullshit and political in some way or whatever. But I don't know. I just don't. I don't know. I don't want to immediately jump on, is Nolan the front runner in adapted screenplay if they don't give Barbie a charity victory? But like I said, that's the whole category is really strong. So I feel like it's open enough that it could be anybody, which would make it even worse if they give a charity win to Barbie just because supposedly people are mad. How many people acted outraged on social media probably don't even know what date the Oscars air? Most of them.
Yeah, I can see that.
And the only way they're gonna find out if Barbie won anything is on their fucking Twitter. Probably the next day, maybe 2 days later. What's the joke every single fucking buddy made after the Will Smith Chris Rock thing? Oh, if this hadn't happened, I wouldn't have even known the Oscars happened, because they're so irrelevant. And it's like everybody wants to talk about how irrelevant the Oscars are, and everybody also wants to outrage over them. And it's really, I don't care about these people's existence. They are meaningless. In this particular area, they are meaningless. You can, like, people say the awards themselves are meaningless. Okay, then your opinions about them are as meaningless. But they want to have their cake and eat it too about what they complain about. So, where are we?
Somewhere.
Sit back and watch
That's
this.
the that's the post DGA predictions icebreaker, I guess.
That's why we have a live chat.
Josie says, "Hey, Popcast team, currently reading The Extraordinary Adventures of Alice Tonks. Very interesting so far. I'm almost done reading of it. A good list though for the first time watches since last time. Dead End Drive-In, Hard Boiled, yes. Arizona Dream, Over the Edge, Giants and Toys, A Simple Plan, Dry Long So, The Enigma of Caspar Hauser, Finding Dawn, The Secret of Nim,
Yeah.
Girl Asleep, and The Flower Drum Song.
How no one has taken the time to remake Secret of Nim like now, like a live action version of it, is beyond me.
Josie mentioning that Disarmed by the Smashing Pumpkins was on the radio. Why do they keep giving him airplay? Also, Jim Bottoms, I found about you. Bowie's Rebel Rebel, that's always good.
Bill and Ted song.
Run Around by Blues Traveller, that vaguely rings a bell. Squeezes Black Coffee in Bed. Oh wow, they played something that wasn't Up the Junction. Or Call for Cats. So, Spirit of the Radio from Rush, Jimmy Buffett's Fins, and Adamant Strip. Again, not playing the obvious Adamant stuff, so a full credit. Josie asks if best, well, not asks, but if Best Picture was 10 nods back in the 98-99 season, it would have been cool if Simple Plan made the lineup or if Raimi managed to get in for director.
Would that have been 98 or 99?
A Simple Plan was 98, so it would have been the 99 ceremony. Did it get in adapted screen? I know Thornton got in. Did it get into adapted screenplay too?
Let's double check. No, I don't want the Canadian rock band.
That I seemingly look like the lead singer of for some random reason.
Oh, I have to put in the actual A. I have to put the infinitive article for it to go, oh, you mean that.
Hold on, I got this.
Yes. It was nominated for screenplay and supporting.
And it's possible.
Losing out to James Coburn, of all people, for Affliction. And then screenplay losing out to God and Monsters.
Gods and Monsters for sure would have been in that picture lineup, I think, if it was expanded.
I'm just looking at a list of... Yeah, so Shakespeare in Love had 13, Saving Private Ryan had 11. Elizabeth had 7, so they're in. Life is Beautiful and The Thin Red Line. Oh, right, so the top 8 were the top performers. So in that respect, Armageddon had 4. That might have made it in. Gods and Monsters, Pleasantville and Truman Show probably would have got in the 10.
Truman Show would have definitely been in for sure, especially with Peter Weir getting in for director.
Probably A Simple Plan, and depending how they felt, maybe Primary Colors, maybe Out of Sight, maybe Hillary and Jackie.
American Cats would have been interesting.
Even with Armageddon being the highest grossing movie of that year that wasn't Titanic, because Titanic carried over.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Armageddon was anywhere near that picture lineup. I mean, this may be controversial to say, weirdly enough. I hope it wasn't.
I doubt it was.
Not Bay's finest, which is wherever the hell you want to put that ball.
Well, yeah, if you look at it, its nominations were VFX, sound effects editing, and song. It didn't make it in any of the big 8 or cinematography or editing.
It's a very... The way it's put together in general is not what it was nominated for were its strong suits.
Yeah. That's the diplomatic answer.
Yeah. People love that movie. Good for them. It's not. It's. I don't know. I've reviewed it. You know how I feel. It's there somewhere. It's.
It gave me my only positive memory of senior prom, and that's
I
it.
just. I just remember being terrified of the standee in the lobby that was like clock counting down. It was like I think my 8-year-old mind or 7-year-old mind was convinced it was literally counting down to the end of the world.
Fair.
Oh, and also you don't have to keep watching my reactions to the Oscars because, of course, it got monetized struck because that music that they use in the bit in between is apparently some track called Heist Song. So it got us.
I'm still waiting to get triple digits on my video, even though it took 24 hours to come out after everyone else.
Then again, as it's a live stream, I don't know whether the monetization works any differently with that, but whatever. Oh, and I've also just noticed, we'll probably touch on it next week, but just to give you the down low as well now, June Giovanni's getting the Outstanding Contribution to British Cinema Award at the BAFTAs. Basically, she's heavily involved in curating things regarding giving showcase to African movies that probably wouldn't be given much of a chance. Which means she technically might have been the one that brought everybody's attention to Commandos and Wakalia would. Because that would be her. That would be her. Her thing. I'm guessing we're probably going to find out the fellowship within the next week. So by the time we actually get to nomination predictions next week, we'll probably be aware of who are they giving award to because they're scared they're going to die in the next 12 months. I'm not saying that's always the thing with the fellowship because obviously, Sandy Powell I don't think is anywhere close to dying. Neither was Ang Lee from the year before.
Didn't Ridley Scott get it recently too?
I'm just looking. Kathleen Kennedy got it in 2020. Thelma Schoonmaker in 2019. Yeah, Ridley Scott was 2018.
Was that long ago? Yeah.
Right. Bill
I
Paxton's.
think I seriously think it's Ridley Scott's plan to die on a movie set. I mean, we're all better off for it. He's not gonna quit. Doesn't he have like 3 things lined up right now, and he's like on the other side of 80?
Yeah, I'm just trying to double check. I mean, he's currently doing Gladiator 2. He's also apparently started work on secret project that we're not allowed to know what it is. Then
What's really
there's a TV
shortly?
miniseries called Roads to Freedom that he's directing. A TV series in pre-production called Sinking Spring that he might be doing like the pilot for, and then somebody else does the rest of it. Wraiths of the Broken Land is listed on his IMDb, and Queen of Country, but that's only listed as being attached to director rather than definitive.
I'm pretty sure I remember him saying something around the time Covenant came out. That like all he wanted to do for the rest of his life was make alien movies, and he had ideas, and he's made like 10 movies since then, and none of them are alien movies. Once again, probably for the better, but
He's producer on Alien Romulus, the Fede Alvarez alien film. Yeah, Yeah, Untitled Alien prequel. So, oh, hang on, Alien TV series exec producer. Yeah, he's already doing a lot of Alien stuff. He's just not directing it. He's producing them.
That's
Oh,
a
and
fair
a TV
trade.
series based on Blade Runner. He really is trying to cover everything. When are we getting the TV series based on All the Money in the World? Oh, wait, it was already made the same year as he did the film. um, or he'll be desperately going to Kenneth Branagh. Can you make another Poirot film, please? I need another film to produce. I need production in my veins. Give me more films. Give me more TV series. I want to produce. Little bits of simple plan trivia, I think, here. Bill Paxton's father plays the old man who confronts Paxton's character in the feed store with the quote, "Are you mean to tell me that there were 5 weeks last month?" I find that ironic, Josie, because technically, of course, there was 5 weeks last month, if you depending on how you fall for the calendar. Scott B. Smith originally conceived his story as a screenplay, but decided to turn it into a novel first before writing a screenplay based on that. And Bry says we're going to do PGA and SAG with Indie Spirits because they're on the same weekend. You read our minds, Bry.
It's not just that either. It's one big, ginormous show with all three. So yes.
Yeah. Thankfully, PGA is short. So, Sam Raimi learned some techniques about shooting in the heavy snow from the Coen brothers, following on from the Fargo stuff.
Yeah, wasn't the whole thing when A Simple Plan came out was it's the most Coen Brothers movie not made by the Coen Brothers?
Which apparently the Coen brothers are getting to work on their next project. Or I guess project together, rather than the separate stuff they've been doing the last year or so.
Only a couple more weeks left. I cannot wait.
Oh.
I'm really curious why you, like, they need to start paying you for Drive Away Dolls marketing for how much you are really hyping that movie, and I'm really curious.
I feel that
Poster
the
and
reverse
everything.
needs to happen for Red Letter Media, just like their video this past weekend, where they were basically trying to dump on all the mainstream media outlets that are trying to shill the hell out of Madam Web right now, and trying to make it sound like it's good, and
That
not
movie can
Morbius
die in
too.
fire.
I'm just curious to watch it. I want to watch Drive Away Dolls back to back with The Tragedy of Macbeth and see if the two of them together are like, I can see all the Coen Brothers shit now, all at once for two completely different movies. Which makes perfect sense because they have so many different vibes they are capable of, as we've seen. The fact that they wrote Burn After Reading and No Country for Old Men at the same time, like going back and forth.
You know who we can? Are you aware of who we can thank for Billy Bob Thornton being in Simple Plan? AJ?
I mean, he already had a connection to Paxton. I don't suppose that would have been anything.
It's John Borman. Because Borman was originally attached to do the film, and Borman was impressed with Sling Blade. So Borman cast him, and it carried over to when it wasn't Borman directing.
I mean, I love that movie exactly the way it is, and I love what Raimi did with it. It would be a hell of a John Borman movie. I kind of want the alternate timeline just to see.
Oh, hold on. This timeline gets even more crazier. You know who it started with? This 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon? I mean, it's not Kevin Bacon, but it's kind of like that. Originally attached to direct this was Ben Stiller.
I can imagine that now, like post Escape at Dannemora, pre Escape at Dannemora.
Well,
I
even
would.
this is pre Walter Mitty, which was the first time he sort of dabbled in something more serious. I mean, okay, it's light-hearted, but it wasn't out and out comedy like most of Ben Stiller's stuff.
It doesn't. I think Stiller got the rights to the rat story in If It Bleeds, didn't he? That's something I'm really curious about.
So yeah, Stiller was set to direct with Nicolas Cage to star, but when Cage's salary began to affect the film's budget, Stiller walked away, which then
Those were the days,
meant the
huh?
project was handed over to John Dahl, who
I
then
get
left to get replaced by John Borman. Also, interestingly, John Borman would have had Sarah played by Natalie Portman.
Yeah, John Dahl doing that movie, especially with Cage, would have brought back a lot of Red Rock West vibes.
And Emma Thompson was also considering the part of Sarah, but declined. And then Sam Raimi came in, and the rest is what got put on 35mm and VHS and DVD and eventually Blu-ray.
Yeah, that's one of those movies where you would think you wouldn't want to see it any other way, but that's a lot. And usually these alternate movies don't really interest me that much. But this one's really, there was a lot of different ways that movie could have turned out, and they all sound awesome.
Yeah. And something I didn't realise, Simple Plan's A Canterbury Tale. Because it's a reworking of The Pardoner's Tale from Chaucer. A Knight's Tale is also a Canterbury Tales adaptation. New Bev, if you're listening, do a double bill with Simple Plan and A Knight's Tale. I don't know what New Bev is. That sounds like a drinks company.
That's in bed. That's okay.
What football team would Mark Ruffalo's character in Poor Things be a fan of? Ooh. I mean, obviously at the minute it'd be the Chiefs, because, you know, they're just all about partying and everything. It clearly would have been the Patriots, but as I say, I feel that Ruffalo's character is very much a bandwagoner. So when they fell off and like the Chiefs became like in the Super Bowl over and over again, he'd go like, they're my team.
Has this come up, or am I having alarming deja vu?
No,
this has come up before.
But I think now by what has happened in the past few weeks, with again, it's the mainstream media. The narrative isn't who wins the Super Bowl; it's does Taylor Swift's partner get a Super Bowl ring. That's the way it's gone.
Yeah. I have no problem giving questions we've had a different thought and a different outlook. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't going insane.
No. The original spin on this was we're talking about soccer.
Yeah.
So we did it as UK football, and now we switched it up, and now it's American football.
Yeah, I think we briefly mentioned American football the last time.
But I said Man United, and Ashley concurred, and I'm like, wow, I got it right. I'm amazed.
Because I still think it's glory hunting. My friend and I joked that when he's at the bar, he could be like, the Packers lost again, Aaron Rodgers 2024. Wow. He didn't play for them most of this season, I think. Oh, Josie said, I'm thinking about the Grammy-nominated narration for Monk's book in American fiction. That didn't happen this year, right? I don't think.
Is that a hypothetical?
Just to clarify, because I haven't been able to access it yet over here. I can't even remember if it's come out. It probably has, but it's only in the wrong cinemas where I'm not going to.
Who would do the audiobook for fuck?
Samuel L. Jackson.
Well, I was gonna say go meta and have Jeffrey Wright. It's like,
Um,
what is it? Is it the oh my god, was it the Dukes of Hazzard movie with Johnny Knoxville where they had the joke with they listened to the audio, like the audio book by Lawrence Fishburne or something.
Yes.
There's it's like it's weird that that movie has such a good joke.
um, something I'm asking because I haven't been able to see it, and I probably won't until it comes out via purchasable streaming or whatever. Is American Fiction a sort of like cock and bull story style? Like it seems impossible to film it because of how complicated it is, because of like book within a book sort of thing.
I don't see that, but I haven't read Eraser either, so AJ has, so I would throw the question to him.
It's probably the lack of sleep. I don't quite understand the question. I think
Well, they always say that you remember Michael Winterbottom's cock and bull story. I think,
the the one with Steve Coogan.
and Rob Brydon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was supposed to be about the. Well, it sort of was Don Quixote esque in that it was more about making the film rather than actually being based off the book that it's off. And you often get that
Oh,
occasionally where you get the situation of people say, this story, this book is unfilmable because where it has to go sort of is probably beyond where the medium can go. Obviously, it can't be exactly because it's got all the award nominations it has, but does it feel like story wise it has elements of that?
what's really, I'm not sure. I think we ran into this before when we were talking about American Fiction. I can't tell how much is saying too much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Um, well, it's like we were talking about the way they ended up handling the book within the book, where they just made it one scene. Kind of disappointed me at first, but it's like when you see it, how it was the most efficient way to do that. Where you would think reading the book they could get super creative with it, adapting that to film, but it's a lot more focused on everything that's going on around the book rather than focusing on the book itself. But the wild thing, where I don't know if I'm saying too much, is how the movie kind of gets meta about the book itself at the ending.
Yeah,
Like
I see where.
the movie is kind of commenting on Erasure's ending by the way it ends, which is, yeah. I don't know if that answers anything, but it's
No, I kind of see that. Oh, Josie says on that note, who could you see narrating the audio books for How I Did It from Young Frankenstein? Mainly because I'd like to see more in the media from him. I'd like to see Marty Feldman read it
yeah, I
rather
was gonna
than
say
like
it's
the obvious Gene Wilder.
I keep I feel like mine were too enclosed because I went to Mel Brooks first, and then it's like I think the question's supposed to be more creative than somebody inside the production, but I don't really have another answer.
Well, no, because I think that Marty would have the sort of, because most people don't really annoyingly they don't remember Marty Feldman because a lot of his sort of comedy stuff that he did in the UK is very Python-esque. That's probably why Brooks went for him because it's that sort of visual comedy sort of stuff. That's what he was going for. I just like to see him in more stuff rather than like at last the 1948 show, this random TV series from over here in the 60s, and then the only substantial thing outside of that really was Young Frankenstein, which is annoying. Ooh. Who would do the audiobook of the Necronomicon from Evil Dead?
Besides the obvious, because he kind of already did it a little bit in movie.
Having seen the Fingers in Your Ears, Owen, the Ryan Reynolds like commercial for like the coffee that's got supposedly Anthony Hopkins as the mascot, and then having some coffee sort of during halftime. Somebody like Hopkins or McKellen or somebody like that doing it.
Is that gimmick where they're literally throwing Hey Arnold's head as a football?
No, that's Patrick Stewart. That's the Paramount Super Bowl ad, which is and it has Creed literally introduced as Creed because it's that meta. I want the American fiction version of that commercial because, dear God.
I mean, just because this is a hypothetical and obviously this doesn't happen and it would never happen, but if you want to talk about somebody that would read, that I would love to hear, obviously it's not possible for many reasons, but the answer for me when it comes to the Necronomicon would be Vincent Price.
Yeah.
I would like that.
Reminds me of, I think I mentioned this movie once before. I think it's called Extraordinary Tales. I think that's what it is. Where it's the animated anthology movie that's Poe stories.
Oh, nice.
And Price narrates one of them. And he just has the perfect voice for just the genre itself. Like, not just narrating specific things or specific stories or authors, whatever, just the horror genre itself, especially the classier side, I guess we'll call it, of the horror genre. He just goes hand in hand with. But like, that movie pulled like a lot of old recordings of other legendary actors reading Poe, and then they just animated the stories over it, and it's wild.
Next, Getting Better from Sandusky, New York.
In Synecdoche, New York.
New York.
I don't even know how to pronounce that. Synecdoche.
I said I'm really struggling to get creative with this.
Part of me feels like Peter Sellers, but in character as him from Being There. I would like to see that.
Yeah, because it's not Judi Dench, is it? Who's the voice in his head at the very end? Is it Judi Dench? If it's not Judi Dench, it's somebody Judi Dench-esque.
I don't see. Does it even list? It doesn't list them. I mean, it lists the cast, but I don't think it was, Catherine Keener or Diane Wiest or anybody. It doesn't actually specifically list. You have to go to IMDb and look for the uncredited people. Popcast. Where's the uncredited? Oh, there's the uncredited. I don't recognize any of those names.
I took us down a rabbit hole. I didn't
Yeah.
I didn't intend to go down.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't say who the voice is directly. It's not one I remember off the top of my head.
It might be Diane Weiss, but I wouldn't quote me on that.
She's in the cast.
Yeah.
He's dual credited in the cast too.
Anyway, we'll jump from that because that
Yeah.
that rabbit hole went too far. This might get a bit, well, this could be seen a bit too obvious as well. What about the day after yesterday from Sideways?
Well, it's kind of hard when we don't know a lot about the content of some of these books.
Yeah. Depending how comedic it is, you could see like a George Carlin maybe doing it.
I would like that.
Yeah.
I could imagine that too.
And we know he can do light-hearted because of how many years he did Thomas the Tank Engine.
Shining Time Station.
Josie's also been reading about the mythology of tarot. I know that's a good thing. Oh, Bry also mentions that Guggenheim also directed Inconvenient Truth.
That makes sense. .com.
If a Godzilla Top Gun crossover were to happen, what would you like to see happen? Ooh. Well, I feel it would have to be sort of the US Navy. Well, the US Navy and Air Force teaming up with Godzilla to take on something. Whether it's Mecha Godzilla or one of you, like a Mothra, the one that's an off-planet sort of kaiju that shows up.
I will say, after watching the movie the other day, I am totally down with this concept happening in real life.
Apparently, we're getting Godzilla and Dave the Diver, which is one of the games I do want to bring to here and touch on. That's a crossover I didn't think was coming, but there we go.
It's the closest thing I'm ever going to get to Tom Cruise fighting a dinosaur, so I'll go with it.
Well, that's the thing. Also, is like if the pilots are going to be as likable as they were in Maverick.
That's a fair assessment too.
That could be some really interesting. Because it's like, would it be helpful Godzilla like he is in a lot of other movies, or would it be full on villain Godzilla like -1 and the original? I looked it up. Yeah, it is. That was Diane Weiss' voice in Synecdoche, New York, because it was her, where she's playing the director of the whole thing is why it's her voice. Yeah.
Make sure to leave a pin in that, Josie, because Josie does mention I'd like to hear what Chris thinks about the Godzilla Top Gun crossover thing. So make sure to remind us when Chris is here, Josie.
Which will probably not be until the movie club after next.
Given the demeanors, I could see Rami Youssef's character in Poor Things being friends with Megara and Tiryu's characters in past lives. And Bry says past lives will do fine at the Indie Spirits. I'm hoping so.
It'd be nice.
But, there's more there that I think is also in contender, so... Josie says, what I love about Past Lives is how theatrical it is in a good way. You can tell that Celine applied her expertise from the theatre world. And then asks you, AJ, would you want to see a Celine song play, AJ?
Oh yeah, I was literally just getting ready to say, because when she first said theatrical, my first thought was like like big, but like literally like yeah. So yeah, of course, for sure. Because you could really adapt past lives to the stage if you wanted to.
For sure.
I'd love to see Godwin back around Mac McCandless at a science convention with Murphy's Oppenheimer, Alan Grant, and Wayne Stilinski.
Of course, Wayne
He's
Zielinski's
back
back.
again.
That was a hilarious thought just now, because for some reason the first thing that came to my mind was like a school science fair that these guys are.
They're judging a school science fair.
It's like here's like, you know, Oppenheimer over here creating the atomic bomb. Here's Willem Dafoe over here creating life. and Wayne Zielinski, by the way.
And what their names from blooming Power Rangers?
Fucking Skull.
Yeah, they'd be there with just, yeah, we have one of those volcano things that goes brrr. Be on the
That's an
side.
accurate assessment.
Okay, I'll ask. Why Bulk and Skull?
Thank you.
I think it was actually like it was in either one of the comics because I saw it from Linkara, or it was actually in one of the episodes. I just feel like they would be there and they would have the utmost impression that despite everything they're up against, they would win because theirs is like the best level.
Didn't they
Threaten Billy to help them out, and of course that doesn't work out for them. And
I mean, it is funny that Wayne Zielinski's involved in this scenario, because didn't they make one of those volcano things in the third? I think it's the third movie.
that sounds right. I haven't seen the Honey series in years.
There's a very fun, in my opinion, a fun video on this channel where me and my brother did a deep dive on those three movies, and we got especially sidetracked on Honey, I Blew Up the Kid. Not sidetracked, but went into different scenarios.
Saw that movie in a $1.50 theater.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
There, you know, you'll know this without me giving anything away. There was a movie theater in the downtown area a long time ago, and that's the aforementioned theater where I got to see Amos and Andrew back in the day, and The Crush and Jurassic Park and things like that. Well, when it lost its business, it became a $1.50 cinema.
I think I saw Jumanji at that theater, maybe.
That sounds logical. They had the movie facts when you walk in. They had those really cool things that would tell you a little blurb about the movie and a couple people that were in it. They give you the trivia on the back, and of course, it was like a big pamphlet. But yeah, I remember watching the movie there.
Oh, I see. That was prompted because Josie said a science convention with Rami Youssef and TOU's characters as well. Maybe the Power Rangers guys wouldn't get a chance because I'd be like, that's the top 5 right there, probably. Even Robin Williams with his flubber is like, well, I think we lost the audition.
Hey, as long as it's a Figment reference, I'm down.
Josie mentions Poor Things did get cinematography at BSC, but I think Nolan will take DGA to AJ, and deservedly so. Kudos to him and Emma Thomas. I could see a world where Anatomy of a Fall. I just saw AOAF and I'm like, look, I remember that film that I'm not allowed to mention was like anachronized, but like Does that mean we have to have M for Maestro and O for Oppenheimer and B for Barbie? H for holdovers?
M for majorly pissed off the damn thing won't go to a theater anytime soon.
I can see a world where Anatomy of a Fall pulls an all quiet at BAFTA, but even so, I think Nolan will take director there, even with an Anatomy win. Like if Anatomy were to get picture, screenplay, and actress.
I would love that greatly.
Then some Secret of Nim trivia. The small dragonfly Mr. Ages chases away near the beginning of the film is a nod to Evan Rood from The Rescuers. This was Goldsmith's first music score for an animated film, and eventually said it was one of his favourites. And was instrumental in introducing the movie to Spielberg, who then went to work with Bluth on An American Tail. Co-producer Gary Goldman said they originally hoped the movie would get a PG rating due to several intense scenes and the maturity of the subject matter. They were actually surprised when the ratings board gave it G, and felt the rating might have hurt the movie's commercial appeal to older audiences.
How things have drastically changed.
The lead character's name was changed from Mrs. Frisbee to Mrs. Brisby to avoid legal entanglements from the Whammo company. Unfortunately, the change came late in the movie's production, long after actors and actresses had recorded the dialogue, and because it wasn't feasible to have every actor and actress use the word Frisbee in the re-recorder of their lines, the change was made by sound editors, who by hand carefully sliced the bruh taken from other words spoken by the actors into the fruh on the magnetic dialogue tracks.
That's right there.
One of the only 3 Don Bluth movies to not be a musical, the others being Land Before Time and Titan A.E. Because Mrs. Brisby doesn't have a given name, fans nicknamed her Elizabeth, in loving memory of Elizabeth Hartman.
Elizabeth Hartman's story is so fucking sad.
No
I was just gonna say,
no relation to Phil, right?
Not that I remember.
Good.
I don't believe so.
I didn't want that family to be cursed.
I've mentioned before that I was never enamored with Don Bluth's movies. But the ones I like the most, I'm pretty sure, are the ones that were just brought up as the only ones not being musicals. I wonder if that's what it was. Was that the problem the whole time?
Maybe.
Because I grew up with The Land Before Time like anybody else. But other than that, obviously I saw Titan A later in life. And the Secret of Nim is fine, but by the time I actually saw it, I was in like at least my mid to late 20s. I saw it late. So it had a shitload of hype behind it by the time I finally saw it. So I don't think that helped. But yeah, I always struggled with Bluth, except for like those 2.
And of course, Ashley leaves.
Yeah.
Just realized that.
Yeah. So yeah, we need somewhere to go.
.com. Yeah, we can go there. It's one of those things. Like you watch it, whether you're a kid or you watch it if you're an adult. I mean, I know somebody that used to be very special to me. That Anastasia was like their favorite movie ever. So
somebody said that. Somebody said that about Anastasia. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was a big Fievel guy. I loved Somewhere Out There always will be one of the best like songs I remember hearing back when I was a kid. I enjoyed The Land Before Time. All Dogs Go to Heaven. Second time today that's been brought up. Not here, but I've been around that conversation twice today. Don't know how that happened. Never watched Titan AE, actually. I liked Rockadoodle. It was a guilty pleasure.
I haven't seen. I own a copy of it. I should test this, but I haven't seen it since like the first time I saw it. Because I've said it before, sci-fi is not my go-to genre.
Mm.
And obviously lately, animation hasn't been either.
No.
I remember being really surprised by how much I really took to that movie that one time that I saw it.
Well, you also like neglect. I mean, not neglected to mention, but it's like the Disney connections too with Sleeping Beauty and Robin Hood, and like Pete's Dragon. Like these are like things I remember watching. I love Sleeping Beauty. I've always enjoyed the animated Robin Hood too.
I didn't
Like,
realize that Don Bluth did the directing and storyboarding for the cinematics in I Ninja on the bloody PS2 and the Xbox like 20 years ago. That was kind of one of the last things he did, because the only other stuff I see listed really is the music video for Sister Sisters Mary and like a short film from 2009, and allegedly he's working in some shape or form on Dragon's Lair the movie, which I feel has been in the works for about 14 years. Until the point of, you know, Elizabeth, she had no on-screen first name. She was only revered as Mrs. Jonathan Brisby. Bright. I feel I have to do this in the style of Peter Potamus from Harvey Birdman. First question from Bry is, Owen, did you get the thing that I sent to you?
So I'm not going to bury the lead here. Actually, I think I will, because Brian, not only did I get it, I did enjoy it, and you're going to kick off February. So Brian, who I have called the historian of Popcast Network, and he lives up to that every single day, especially on the QA shows, and especially on the Decade podcast. Went and took every single one of our reactions from the time that we've been doing our Oscars, and he made one mashup video with all of them. And just something that I remember AJ saying back in the day when we looked so much more different than we do right now popped me so much that it made me realize that even if the video didn't go any further than that, I still would put it up. So Brian created a mashup video that chronicles the entire time that we have been predicting the Oscar nominations and our reactions to Oscar nominations morning. That video is your February 1st video. And it follows up with AJ's first movie review of the 2024 season. So that double shot is coming up real soon.
Yeah, we're starting movie reviews with just how low can Wyatt Russell and Carrie Condon slum it? Good Lord.
To some extent,
I
as
didn't
well,
know.
I would say the first miss for Bloomhouse in a number of years for a January.
Oh, that's an understatement, my friend.
I didn't know Carrie Condon was in it, and I'm not exaggerating when I say I was shocked. That's fucking Carrie Condon. What is she doing here?
When I saw her come on the screen, I know I'm the only person in the theater who knew exactly who she was, number one. Number two, I was like, I think I said out loud, not loud, but just so I could hear it, I said, why?
Wasn't she? People might
Why?
know.
I don't have an answer.
Wasn't she on a popular show or something that people probably know her from?
Probably.
I feel like that's the answer for a lot of people. Where it's like, I have the question, Rome. I think that's what it was.
I was thinking Ray Donovan. That's the only thing that comes to my mind, but
where somebody will get like a big reaction, like, how the fuck do you know who that person is? Oh, there was that popular show I didn't give a shit about. They were on that.
People have said similar bad things about Baghead. It's been out here the last week or two.
There's a new one.
Is that something else, or is that indie movie was Gerwig involved in that? Is she in it? It's part of her crew, I think, if she's not in it.
It's definitely her. It's it's the Duplass brothers.
Oh.
It's from 2008.
Wait, what?
They didn't do it.
Hang on.
They didn't like.
Is this? I am now having to.
Something
look this
tells
up.
me we're referring to two different movies.
I'm trying to look this up to. Oh, it's okay. It's not showing. Hang on. I have to click all times because apparently it's not showing on Monday.
Can we verify this is the movie that we're talking about, Ashley?
Yeah, there is. Okay, first of all, I just have to say, yeah, there is a 2023 movie called Baghead.
I mean, it's got Peter Mullen in it, so it might not have come out with you. It might be a British film.
Here's the thing. This Duplass Brothers movie from 2008, which I think is some kind of horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a copy of it forever that I have never watched. I think because I got it with intent to watch, and then I think I forgot why I got it because I've only ever heard terrible things about it. And I think I only remembered just now when Owen said it, the reason I would have it is because the Duplass brothers made it.
You are correct.
All right, I gotta look at that fucking thing now.
Okay, so this Baghead is
Alberto Corridor.
Yeah. At the minute on Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 17%. The plot is a young woman finds the pub she's inherited is home to a 400-year-old she-devil.
Oh, God.
And apparently there was another Baghead movie that was directed by the same director in 2017.
It was a short. So in essence, it's doing a Lights Out in that respect, I guess.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't want to jump the gun on my opinion of a movie I haven't seen. I only just learned the existence of. But when you said that plot, that percentage made sense immediately.
The other thing in the bit from the Guardian review says, few of the ensuing jump scares will surprise you. Oh, it's not a 1. It's got a 2, but, you know.
I mean,
you can see it's rough.
You could probably... I mean, I'm bashing it just for that setup. I could imagine, like, Ty West doing a movie with that plot. Like something that would feel like The Innkeepers or something, just in a bar. That could be something, but...
In that respect, I'd just like to ask the distributors, whoever it is that does those films, can Maxine actually release in the UK? Thank you. And not be like on a 10-month delay if it does get in cinemas? Thank you.
Cannot wait to see Maxine.
I forgot you had to wait like almost a year to see Pearl.
Yeah, like...
Oh, I'll make it even worse on you, Ashley. Pearl's actually getting re-released for Valentine's Day around here.
One cinema of mine is doing an encore version of Anyone But You. I'm like, that only came out 6 weeks ago. Why is it getting an encore? And the throwback for Oscars Sunday is Barbie. Yeah, that really old film that's a throwback from like 9 months ago. I'm not a fan of Les Mis, but at least that's 10 years.
I don't know. Seeing Les Mis in Dolby Digital sounds really intriguing to me, especially just seeing the trailer when I watched Argyle.
The place that's doing it is not that big a cinema.
Ah, that's fair.
They knocked it down and were going to turn it into a hotel, but then COVID happened, and now it's just a car park with a fence around it. It's depressing as all hell. That's where I met Julia Garner when she was there talking about, what was that film? Like American Children? What was it?
Electric Children.
Electric Children, yeah. She was just random. Oh, she's at the back of the screen. Like, the shit?
Speaking of things that the world shutting down ruined, I I don't remember if I had talked to you guys about this. I don't think I've ever brought it up on camera before because why would I? We were this close to getting an Alamo Draft House here in Orlando. We had the plot, everything was ready, they were building it, and the world shut down. It's like, nope. That's the closest I'll ever get to Alamo Draft House.
I want to back everything amazing about Alamo Draft Houses, but I'm also kind of sick of hearing about how amazing Alamo Draft Houses are. I've also heard some of their, not all of them, but some of their reputations are a little overblown.
I get that.
Like the one you always hear about kind of being the ultimate one, I think, is the one in Austin.
Oh yeah.
The one where Rodriguez like plays his movies.
That's the South by Southwest theater.
Yeah.
And
the one where one of my favorite things, maybe on any DVD ever, is when he recorded an audience track from a screening at that Alamo Draft House for Planet Terror, and you can have that as an audio option on the DVD.
That's amazing.
It is amazing.
Speaking of that, randomly it was on my Twitter feed. Even I guess I have too many American people on Twitter, on Facebook. Somebody managed to get a screenshot of the Fathom events. Are there any interest you out of the list?
I think it was this year. Most of the Fathom events this year I saw in previous years.
Yeah. I'm just looking. This weekend was My Fair Lady's 60th anniversary. Then March is Labyrinth. April is the 85th anniversary of Gone with the Wind. May is. Oh, go ahead.
I have a white whale scenario with Labyrinth. When it was like, I guess you could say we were kind of in the peak of COVID a little bit. When movie theaters and drive-ins were just playing classic movies because nothing was coming out. The drive-in that we go to, that's a while away, was going to have a double feature of Labyrinth and The Never-Ending Story.
Oh my god.
Mind you, I've never really been that crazy about The Never-Ending Story, but I can just imagine something magical about seeing those two movies together at the drive-in.
Sure.
The day before that was going to start, one of the employees got COVID and they shut down, and that double feature never happened.
May's is the 35th anniversary of Steel Magnolias. Then we have two in June. At the start of June, we got the 45th anniversary of Muppet Movie.
I haven't decided yet.
And then for the end of June,
I'm going to have to go to this.
The 25th anniversary sing-along of South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut.
With the words on the screen, having the opportunity to be able to sing along to the South Park movie,
You can also be Robin Williams at that Oscars ceremony 25 years ago.
Yes.
It really, I know I harp on this kind of thing a lot, but I mean, come on. It really fucking stresses me out that movie's 25 years old.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. Speaking of the Never-Ending Story, it's next.
40th anniversary of Never-Ending Story in July. 70th anniversary for Rear Window in August.
Might do that. September,
the 50th anniversary of Blazing Saddles. The Mean Girls 20th anniversary. Maybe the version that you should see.
Hey now, don't bash the new one.
That's another one that they're doing, that I think for Valentine's Day, and people are going, no, we want to see the original one, please.
My response is this: why not both? Double feature.
Yeah, but their only other option is, I can't remember something. November's randomly is The Fifth Element.
Yeah.
And then of course White Christmas for Christmas.
Me and my brother just went to a Fifth Element screening like last year, where it actually had an anniversary.
Yeah.
Where that'd have been 2022 is what it would have been, but still.
And to the shock of absolutely everyone, there is no screening of Casablanca this year.
Yeah, they don't even wait for anniversaries for Casablanca. Usually they just do it.
Nope.
Which I actually like. I kind of like the ones that are random, because it feels like more of an appreciation thing rather than a, oh, it's your fucking birthday movie.
Well,
And of course, for me, there's also October time where Cinemark shows various horror movies from the past, but I don't have a list of that stuff yet. Won't until probably September.
Yeah, like I liked our theater here in town. I don't even remember. It might have been 2019, which would have been an anniversary. Played A Nightmare on Elm Street really randomly. And I loved that. I loved it. Like there was a very short amount of time where our theater actually did that shit, because I saw the Goonies here too, like right around that same time, which wouldn't have been having an anniversary. So I don't know what the hell was going on. It was like they were just bringing back '80s movies to our theater randomly.
But didn't you tell me that that theater subscribed to the normal thing that most people did, that there was nothing coming out? So they're like, hey, let's just throw out some classics to try to bring people into the theaters.
I think it was. Actually, I think it was. I think it was February of 2019. February, usually there's like something starting to go on after January happens.
Sure.
But yeah, it was just really random. The Goonies might have been closer to that summer, but Nightmare on Elm Street was definitely in February. And what's crazy is that we got that Shining release at the end of 2019 too.
Mm-hmm.
And something happened that doesn't normally happen with those. Those were busy screenings. There were it's like for the Goonies, I had to sit beside a girl that didn't like it. Like it's like we sat through the whole movie and she just kind of seemed a little unamused. And then when the credits started rolling, she turned to the people she was with and said, "No, I still don't get it." And it's which is the same thing happened when I saw Lebowski, like the year prior, where there was always that one person that was giving it another shot and it didn't pay off. And I'm glad I'm not one of those people that doesn't get Lebowski or the Goonies, because I know. Oh, and obviously you know this feeling. It's kind of one of the worst feelings when you're on the outside of a fandom. And
Yeah.
and it's not even necessarily that you hate the movie. You're just kind of bitter that you're not feeling what everybody else is feeling. And you wish that you were. It's the opposite of hate. You wish you were feeling that love.
I have that feeling of a movie right now for this award season. So, but I will not say anything further.
But it's, yeah. Where was I going with that? Oh, just the general crowd though for A Nightmare on Elm Street was great. I had almost forgotten about the line when she looks in the mirror and says, "Oh God, I look 20 years old." And hearing a whole theater laugh at that line is kind of great, especially when you're for a whole theater to laugh at a genuinely funny moment in what's considered to be one of the ultimate horror movies. It was really. We could use more of those in this area, but our theater typically sucked. This was a very short-lived period.
Well, I know you're going to roll your eyes, and I'm imagining you rolling your eyes before I even start saying this, but you're talking about seeing a movie with a packed theater that gets it. That would have been the time that I saw The Room. And getting an entire theater of people that knew the lines, that were basically doing like the shoutbacks and things like that, like it was Rocky Horror. I mean, that was a great experience. Now, I know you would not have had the same opinion of said interactions, but it was cool to be a part of, at least so I can say that I finally have seen The Room in a theater.
No amount of screaming, line saying, or spoon throwing is going to make that movie any less boring as shit.
I felt so sorry for people who had to clean up after it was over. I won't even lie.
Like I said, I get no appeal from The Room because I get fucking bored with it. It's not, the bad dialogue is one thing, the bad acting is one thing, but there's nothing in that movie. There's nothing. A movie's devoid of everything, not just good acting and a good story and good dialogue. It's devoid of fucking everything.
But it's not devoid of a fan of the Popcast network. So shout out to Juliet Danielle for still following us to this day.
I'm sure it's one of those cases where, I'll follow this person in 2012 and then forget that channel exists.
You referring to Roseanne Barr following me on Twitter?
Oh God.
Yeah.
I love. Okay. I will say that Roseanne is one of the greatest sitcoms of all time, and that's the last time I'll mention Roseanne Barr. And I genuinely mean that. One of the best sitcoms of all time, for sure. It's just like she kind of forgot what made that sitcom so special and meaningful, is all. But where else was I going? I was going to go on before you brought up The Room. I think it was another shared experience in the theater thing.
Sure.
But I lost it. When you said The Room, my brain just shut down, and I just wanted to lash out.
This is how I kill shows. I basically like bring things up from the past.
The films that are showing up, at least at my local one, they seem to be doing sort of a mini Nolan stuff, because I think Inception is getting a random screening next week, and then Interstellar and Oppenheimer are showing up like the same week as each other.
You're not getting Tenet?
Not that I'm aware of. The reason I'm confused is because the poster on here is listed for the 10th anniversary release of Inception, which they obviously purposefully did because the poster also says watch Tenet exclusively August 27th, because it's the poster from the 2020 release. So that's why they might do. I don't know.
I know we're getting it here in the States.
Depends how desperate the situation is over here. Then again, I think most of the places there might be. I think it's IMAX, and the only IMAX screen that was accessible to me, the new cinema chain is not making it IMAX. They don't believe in IMAX. They believe in something else that's equivalent to IMAX, but not IMAX.
Kind of how I watched Oppenheimer in IMAX, even Regal's version of IMAX.
This Thursday they're doing a showing of 10 Things I Hate About You. So I don't know whether that's also. Cool. I don't know whether that's falling into the sort of anyone but you idea of American adaptations of Shakespeare.
That seems like an Athena thing to do, like back in the day.
Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. It was about when we had The Shining, when they re-released it to go with Dr. Sleep's release.
Yep.
Not only is it just great, I've seen The Shining in a theater twice, and not only is that just great anyway, but this particular time was kind of amazing because The Shining is a movie about cabin fever. And cabin fever kind of more or less goes hand in hand with claustrophobia in a way. And when it played at our theater, it was in the smallest auditorium. And no exaggeration. Oh, and this is a little different from when you were here, because this was after the renovation, which was happening as you left.
Right.
That auditorium has, no exaggeration, 4 rows. That's how fucking small it is now.
Good God.
4 rows and watching The Shining in that theater, the cabin fever and the claustrophobia, and especially when the theater's full, which it was,
That's
you really feel that movie in kind of a special way. And I gotta ask you, Owen. I mentioned this when I talked about that release. In October of 2019, I think it was. Maybe very late September. What do you think in that full but claustrophobic theater of The Shining? What scene do you think visibly made everybody the most uncomfortable?
probably the axe to the door and the, or maybe just the frozen Jack at the end.
All of those are great responses.
Ooh.
When Grady calls Halloran the N-word.
Oh wow.
It got so fucking tense in there.
Man.
Because he says it twice and then Jack repeats it. And I actually, not you could hear everybody claim it, but one girl in particular said, "Oh God, don't say it again."
Nice.
It's like, of all the scenes in the movie, that's when it got really tense for a second. And I don't know, I love that as an anecdote. And it's like, oh good, we've moved on enough as a society that's the most uncomfortable scene in The Shining. That's okay. I'm down with that.
I know it got cut out of like the digital releases, and we talked about it. But I wonder if anybody notices the M word that's dropped in French Connection if it ever gets, re-released. Especially because it's in like the first 10 minutes and it's never really mentioned again.
Is that what was edited out when they did that whole
Yes.
thing? I don't remember that.
The version that was on the BBC iPlayer at least some point last year. It might be coming up again because I think it's coming out either this week or next week on there. Does have unedited.
Well, I was just about to say. Well, I've got my DVD I've had for like 20 years, but then it's like the next sentence is not going to be, "I'm going to go look for the N-word now." I'm going to go search and see if I can find it.
They've also been showing Groundhog Day this past week at our cinema. Case in point, and they followed the tradition. Sky Comedy showed Groundhog Day on loop for 24 hours on February the 2nd. I guess it's not just a Christmas story.
I've always wondered if I would be able to, because this is obviously different, but I pride myself on the fact that when they played it in 2015, when it was it's the year that, Back to the Future 2 takes place, our theater played the Back to the Future trilogy back to back to back.
Yes.
And I never got up from my seat during all 3 movies and the breaks in between. I've always wondered if I could do that marathon that they do. Is it a specific theater or a specific chain that does
It's Gateway in Columbus.
Where if you sit in the theater and watch Groundhog Day for 24 hours, they reward you?
They will give you free movie tickets for a year.
I've always wondered if I could actually do that or not.
And you are allowed, there are caveats, you are allowed to have your phone and stuff like that, but
yeah, who's keeping track of you is my question.
Probably the lady that was sitting inside one of my showings that I watched that basically told us if we take pictures of Nope, then we're going to have to go to California to get our phones back and we're going to jail. I'm sure you would remember that lady yourself from the showing that we saw in Athens of Jobs.
I keep seeing that on the side of the bus that goes through our little village because nobody can be asked to pay advertising on the side of the bus anymore. So I just see Nope I've seen Nope for the last 3 years.
I know what you're thinking of, and it wasn't when we saw Steve Jobs. We were there. That theater was an art house theater with 3 auditoriums.
Yes.
And they used to never, ever play wide release movies.
That is correct.
It was always limited releases and art house movies.
That is also correct.
So the first movie they experimented with wide releases was Ride Along, and
Yep.
it was before Ride Along came out. There was a big ass dude in a full suit standing outside that auditorium door. We're not sure what his job was exactly, but it looked very. This ride along screening was to be taken very seriously, was the vibe we got. We were there for another movie. We were there for the movie Upstairs, whatever it was. And we're like, why the fuck are they playing Ride Along? Now, mind you, unfortunately, and I don't hold it against them, they seem to have changed after they took a break, but once COVID hit, pretty much all that theater played was wide releases.
Yeah.
And like for the next year. So it's like, I get it if they had to like make their money back. But at the time, they never played wide releases. And when they had that screening of Ride Along was like some very serious event of some kind.
To verify what AJ's talking about, for those of you that were not there, and we're the only ones here that were, imagine Cobra Bubbles from Lilo and Stitch, but as a real person.
I randomly remembered
that day too.
I randomly remembered Cobra Bubbles out of nowhere just recently, like within the last couple of months, because I was talking to somebody whose lens had fallen out of their glasses.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly I had in my mind the scene where Stitch hits him with the book, and when he puts his glasses back on all serious and the lens just pops out. And I was like, what is that scene I have in my head of this? Mind you, at this rate, I haven't seen Lilo and Stitch in like 15 years.
I've seen it a lot later than that.
And it was like, what scene am I thinking of? And after like 20 seconds of thinking, it was like, oh, that's fucking Cobra Bubbles.
To remember all these awkward, like, random thoughts too. I can't like tell you like basic stuff about anything.
There's a random Indiana Jones marathon that's happening. Well, I say marathon. I think they're showing them week after week. Yeah, like 4 consecutive weeks. But I think the farcical thing is I'm seeing the listings for Temple of Doom and Last Crusade because Raiders is down where it should be, in R. According to this, Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls lasts 0 hours and 0 minutes. We've been saved! Yes! Apparently the Les Mis thing is a remix and a remaster in Dolby Atmos and Dolby Vision. So it is like an enhanced version. They're also doing...
I am 100% lines up.
They're doing a re-release of Little Women, i.e. the Gerwig one.
You're gonna,
for some reason.
as I say, you're gonna be a lot more specific.
So
they're doing Notting Hill for Valentine's Day, which makes sense.
This is the first time that I've mentioned to anyone. So obviously there's a movie coming out next month that the panel's excited about, but I'm indifferent about. And I wasn't justifiably, it depends on who you're talking to, probably not so much because everybody went nuts for it. Wasn't the biggest fan of it. Friday, it's getting a showing one time for 1 week, and I go Fridays, of course. So if everything lines up timing wise, I may just give this movie another shot, given the fact that its sequel is coming out next month, and I probably should be prepared for it, even though the trailer for the sequel actually has me a little bit more interested, given the fact of all the cool heels in the movie.
Yeah, because it was when, like I said at the time, I'm all open for people having their own opinions.
I know.
And it's like, and yet when somebody has an opinion that's not yours, you just have to live with it. When you tried to say that Dune's visual effects were equivalent to the Sci-Fi Channel, you completely lost me in a way that has never happened before.
I understand. I get it.
It's like that is I think at the time I had asked everybody if there is an instance where you can say an opinion is objectively wrong.
Yep, you did say that.
That's where I would start. But
so yeah, I might be giving it another shot. It's 6:30. I'll be awake. Maybe I'll grab me some ice cream so I can stay awake.
You did admit you slept a lot during the first time you saw it. You slept so much, I brought up Josh Brolin.
Yep.
And you were mystified because you slept through so much of Dune, you didn't know Brolin was in it.
You are absolutely correct.
Is that why it's getting re-released?
Give me another chance to see it, probably. Turning Red also comes out this week, too. So I'm finally going to get a shot at that.
I do like. I mean, there's plenty of movies that deserve a theatrical go, but I do like that those Pixar movies that missed the window are getting that.
I will say right now, seeing Soul in the theater I was the only one in there, but seeing Soul in the theater, it felt like a movie that needed to be having a theatrical experience.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Okay.
And it was a great theatrical experience too. So I think Turning Red will be the same way, and if Luca ends up on my list as well, I'll probably knock it out too.
Luca is not near of the quality of something like Soul or Turning Red, but it's fine. Like if it fits your time frame, you might as well.
That's going to be the only way I'll see it.
I'm going to semi-lightning round the rest of this. Josie
Please
watched
do.
Bogus yesterday. Fun fact, when Goldberg receives the ticket in the park, the officer says Hakuna Matata, which of course she's in Lion King and whatever, so
I like Bogus a lot.
who would win in a fight? Oh, here we go. It's who would win in a fight. Bogus or Bing Bong? Bogus.
Who or Bogus?
Bing Bong. You know, from Inside Out.
Bye. That's my response to you.
Once again, I may have said this before. If only Richard Kine's fate in that dream sequence of A Serious Man was Bing Bong's actual fate. That would be fantastic.
He is now a walk-around character at Disneyland currently, and he does smell like cotton candy like he's supposed to.
So I can kick him in the balls if I want to.
If you want to get banned from Disneyland, absolutely.
Worth it.
I
can't think of anything that would be that's more fitting to the phrase "worth it" than that.
Speaking of that, though, Bogus or Drop Dead Fred?
Drop Dead Fred's just pure fucking chaos.
Yeah.
I think that wins out. I think chaos wins out every time.
Bogus or Tony from The Shining?
Tony's tricky because I feel like it's still ambiguous what Tony is, which is awesome, by the way.
Bogus or Elvis from True Romance?
Okay, I guess I should come clean here. I don't remember anything about Bogus. I remember not particularly liking it.
I liked it when I was a kid. I have not seen it since. .com.
I watched it during a storm. That's what I remember.
This is an easy one. Bogus or Jojo Rabbit's Adolf Hitler?
I mean, that particular... We had a whole N-word discussion. Now we're on Hitler. I don't want to do this. Especially,
No, we want no. Then we're gonna get talking to something else that has Hitler adjacent too, and I don't want to do that either.
because the Waititi one is just a childish bully.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the problem is I don't fucking remember Bogus. So
then we'll end with a closer, an easy one.
is that wait is Bogus Gerard Depardieu? Is that the right one?
That is correct.
Okay. Ooh. Okay. So okay. No,
That's awkward
no
in
Gerard
itself
Depardieu
with the
jokes.
accusations against Depardieu. Oh no!
Cutting this off now. Cutting this off now. There's too much controversial shit here.
No, we'll make it easy because the last one is Bogus versus Gabriel from ¡Malignant. Gabriel will get Bogus in 4 seconds.
Yeah.
AJ, I'm with you on the Barbie backlash BS. And Bryce says this is what the news media wants, not the voters.
Yeah, but my what I'm afraid of is the voters will listen. That's what I'm afraid of.
What football team would Ken root for?
Cowboys.
Yeah, them or the Dolphins.
But is this pre or post him not being interested in horses anymore? Or he's not interested in the patriarchy because they don't involve horses. Did he get out of horses entirely? Was that ever determined?
I think that would mean he'd be a Patriots fan.
Okay, but patriot and patriarchy are two totally different things.
I'm aware, but
I mean, depending on who you ask, but the definitions of them are two different things.
I think Ken would not know the difference. So yeah, Patriots, patriarchy makes sense.
Okay, that makes sense.
No, wouldn't the closest be Denver Broncos?
Colts.
Denver Broncos.
Broncos, Colts, Cowboys. I don't know jack about
and obviously
conversation.
John Seamer's Mercan will be the Dolphins. Probably. Barbie makes more sense to win adapted if it gets SAG Ensemble. Oh, Bryce says I've now caught up with Creed 3 and Asteroid City and was disappointed in both.
Oh, I liked both of them. We'll talk about Asteroid City soon. Maybe. Someday.
Bryce says the 2,000 Oscars I've seen since the last Q&A. No Country for Old Men.
Woo!
Dreamgirls. There Will Be Blood. Black Hawk Down. Gladiator. Almost Famous. The Blind Side. And the 3 Iron Man films.
There are 2 movies on that list I don't like, and you can decide which ones they are. One of the ones you just mentioned is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Well, I'm guessing that's probably Almost Famous.
Obviously. I'm a Cameron Crowe guy.
I was trying to work out whether there's one PTA film you hate.
Is there a PTA movie I don't like? I don't think so.
That's why I didn't think, Oh, also, AJ, Josie says to you, Mrs. Brisby, played by Emily Blunt.
I could... Actually, what I was about to say is kind of a whole other conversation for another time.
Okay.
It's a conversation that needs more development before it becomes words.
Well, AJ, I think I can answer for you when I can say that Kevin's got this thing when he talks about Affleck play the shark in Jaws. I feel like AJ has that same thought process about Emily Blunt.
Yeah, and I loved hearing Cillian Murphy say that during his SAG interview, where he was like, "She can literally." They were talking about Oppenheimer, and then they just detoured to gush about her, and Cillian Murphy was like, "She could just do anything." And it's like, that's what I'm fucking saying. That's what I've been saying.
I'm very excited for The Fall Guy. I won't lie.
Bryads, I watched Iron Man 3 on Christmas Eve.
JustinHammer.com. Let's go.
That was 2.
I know. I'm just saying in general. You watched Iron Man 2, so.
No, Iron Man 3 was that random Guy Ritchie. Wait, he's the villain? Okay.
Mickey Rourke.
I still, you can tell where I am with the MCU right now. if we've been having this conversation like 3 years ago, I would have gone into a whole thing where I was gonna say, because this has happened in a couple of videos, where I would say I will defend the Trevor Slattery thing all day, and I was about to go into that again, and it's just not there anymore. Like anything related to the MCU passion wise is out of me.
It's like the Ron White thing about a thought.
I rate the bait and switch. It's just Guy Ritchie's not that good an MCU villain. He's good as a villain, you know. God knows how many films where he's done that job well. It's just in the MCU, it's just like, oh, what's this? Bry's also seen Happy Feet and its sequel, Road to Perdition, the Bridget Jones Diary trilogy, I guess we can call it. Castaway, Hotel Rwanda, Michael Clayton, Gone Baby Gone, Into the Wild, The Aviator, Seabiscuit, A Single Man, and for this weekend, the Dark Knight trilogy, culminating in Dark Knight Rises earlier today before our stream.
You've had some fun movie-going experiences, Brian. Honestly, seeing Road to Perdition in a packed theater when the ending happens and you're not expecting it is just mind-blowing. It's kind of like The Departed, actually, to be quite honest with you.
I kind of feel that's why the Arkham Knight game didn't have the same impact. Because, mild spoilers, the end of Arkham Knight, at least 100% ending, is sort of very Dark Knight Rises, ending-wise.
There is one difference about that Road to Perdition Departed comparison. Is when it's these movies are 20 years old, guys. I'm gonna say it. When Jude Law comes back at the end of Road to Perdition, it's like, oh fuck, him. Oh shit, him. How did we forget him? When you see James Badge Dale in The Departed, a lot of people say, who the fuck was that again? Because he's with Damon for a lot of the movie, but you don't pay attention to him.
That's the point.
And yeah. But yeah, when you've seen the movie 150 times, like I have, it's like you kind of watch him be just somebody that's just kind of there, and then the ending's beautiful and still shocking after 150 times and nearly 20 years in between. And being a remake of a movie where you already know how it ends, at least that particular scene.
It's true.
Yeah.
I swear Scorsese and Moynihan only put that scene in because they didn't want to remake the entire trilogy, and it's like, here's how we stop it from being a trilogy, everyone.
Okay, I've actually never done this, I don't think. I'm going to shout out another channel that doesn't need help. It's a channel that's going very strong. I just want to shout them out because I fucking love them.
Go ahead.
The type of channel that it is can be controversial, but you have to find the right kind of this particular type of channel. They're one of the channels where they watch movies for the first time and react to them. A lot of those channels are obnoxious. Pretty sure some of them might be lying that they haven't seen those movies before. But the one channel I am extremely loyal to that does this is Cinebinge, where it's they're in Canada, and basically the whole gimmick started with Canadians watching so-and-so movie for the first time. And like a movie like Turning Red really connected to them because she being a woman and the content of Turning Red, but also he is Chinese or of Chinese descent. And so the two of them being in Canada the combination of them is turning red. That's what that movie is. And so there's really great stuff like that. Tomorrow they're watching The Departed. And I'm literally anticipating that the way I anticipate some actual fucking movies. And they're really, he especially, George, is like really intelligent. And so the way they like talk about the movie as it's going, I literally anticipate. They do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I actually anticipate their videos because I love watching them so much. Yeah, and I'm just so fucking psyched that they're watching The Departed tomorrow. I literally can't wait for it. Unless somebody in the comments brought up, I wonder if he has seen Infernal Affairs. And it's like, so maybe it won't catch him as off guard, but I'd still love to see. Because I think even if you have seen Infernal Affairs, the elevator scene of The Departed still fucking hits you in the face. Because if I remember, I haven't seen Infernal Affairs as many times, clearly. But if I remember correctly, Infernal Affairs is a bit more dramatic about how it executes the elevator scene. Whereas the way Scorsese did it was, there's no fucking build-up. It just happens. And I love that. Maybe I'm having a false memory of how Infernal Affairs did it, but I feel like Infernal Affairs did it pretty. You could tell something dramatic was about to happen before it happened. But maybe I'm remembering it wrong. I don't know. I'm talking about like 5 different things at once here, but.
Yeah. Bry asks us about the Criterion stuff. I mean, he says March and April, but I'm pretty sure we talked about March because that was you just gushing about we're getting a Blu-ray release of The Devil and Daniel Webster. So
yes,
I'll just cover the April one. So the April ones, I'm thinking a fair few, well, at least the first 2 are probably re-releases in La Haine and Picnic at Hanging Rock. I feel they must have been Criterion's before.
Yeah, both of them for sure. Yeah, I've just got to look to see if it doesn't look like it. Picnic Hanging Rock does have Holmesdale on it, which is one of Weir's like first movies ever. The old Criterion for Picnic Hanging Rock had the book with it.
Oh wow.
That it's like adapted from. But I don't see anything about them still doing that with this one, unfortunately. That was the first thing I thought of when I saw that was, are they doing the book thing again? But it doesn't look like it, which is disappointing.
Then we've got Workmeister Harmonies, along with, I think, Family Nest, which is Bela Tarr's first feature film from like '79. I Am Cuba from 1964 from Mikhail Kalatazov, including the Russian dub. And then probably the interesting one, just because I wasn't aware of this film, probably should be. Is this the film that inspired Les Dîners de Con and the American remake Dinner for Schmucks? River Phoenix and Lily Taylor starring in Nancy Savoca's Dogfight. Because looking at it, where it's like the person with the ugliest date wins, it just seems very Le Dîner de Con. Like, bring the stupidest person with you to the party, and you win.
Yeah, I don't think, before this, I don't think I knew of that movie either. But I'm very intrigued.
I mean, I thought anything River Phoenix should be pretty good. And it's only about 90 minutes as well, so it's a good list. I'm guessing in the next week or 2 we'll be finding out what's coming out in May, because they normally try and do it like 2 months ahead of time. So Bryce says Pearl Harbor had the same range as Armageddon at the Oscars. I think, yeah, the year it was in a lot of the text, but never made it in the big categories. The Oscars game I'll leave till the end. And Bryce Criterion releases that he picked up Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. That pissed me off because they said they were getting a DVD over here of it, and then they ditched it because they just wanted it to be Blu-ray. They gave up.
While we're on that topic,
Mm-hmm.
was Mark Gustafson's death unexpected? Because that really caught me off guard.
I mean, I'm trying to remember. I vaguely remember the name.
He was Del Toro's co-director on Pinocchio.
Oh yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that was the news that just came out of the blue a couple of days back. Yeah, I vaguely remember seeing it on Deadline or whatever as one of the sort of top stories for the day.
He was unexpected. I don't care how old he was. Carl Weathers was unexpected because he's been active.
He's in that blooming Paramount Super Bowl thing. There's some. I think it's that. There's some commercial that he was a part of when I was watching sort of either Raw or SmackDown. Well, it must have been SmackDown because it was after he passed. But there was this commercial. Like, is it wise to put this commercial on? You know, when he's not around.
By the way, when we were getting around 8 o'clock, we hadn't brought up the chat in so long. I thought we were like over. Like I thought the reason we were talking about the things we were talking about is because the chat was done.
No, we got sidetracked. We got sidetracked, damn it. Yeah, so the other Criterion releases, Bry got Days of Heaven, Last Picture Show, plus Texasville, and the others. And Josie mentions again, I'll always love the line in Superbad, I'm sorry the Coen brothers didn't direct my porn. And there's the mention from Bry of Gustafsson, who passed away on Thursday, yeah.
Yeah, I really need to hit the lottery so I can beef up my Criterion collection. I really, really want that Last Picture Show with Texasville in it, because Texasville is a fucking hard movie to find prior to that Criterion release.
Oh, Margaret Qualley is married to Jank Antonoff. Grammy nominated. I don't know whether he's won. Can I be bothered to refresh? Maybe. Oh, he actually did win. He is producer of the year.
Yes, he is.
There we go.
More love for Drive-Away Dolls.
Imagine the narrator of Who Killed Captain Alex as a Super Bowl commentator. The play is on! Actually, the play is on!
No, honestly, if you want to talk about Who Killed Captain Alex and you want to mention them as a commentator for sports, the name that comes to my mind when I think about what it would sound like is just listening to an old Wesley Willis album.
Yeah, him commentating might make football watchable almost.
No.
Almost. I said almost.
Josie's buy one, went one, lose one Alaska edition in honor of True Detective Night Country.
Well, I already know what my top choice is if it's here.
So we have Runaway Train, Into the Wild, Snow Dogs, Mystery Alaska, The Edge, The Grey, Grizzly Man, Never Cry Wolf, and Insomnia.
Which Insomnia?
Ooh, well, it says 2002.
Okay. Well, prior to Oppenheimer, Insomnia was my favorite Nolan.
Mm-hmm.
So that and Grizzly Man are far and away the top two. I feel like I should say I want to ditch Snow Dogs, but I didn't give the slightest fuck about Mystery Alaska. Apart from, wasn't Mike Myers, was he like a commentator in it?
Something like that. I haven't
so.
seen the movie in years.
Only thing I remember. I think Russell Crowe's the star of it. I can't tell you about a frame he was in. So yeah, I will actually axe Mystery Alaska before I axe Snow Dogs, because he's already been brought up once. Anytime James Coburn was on screen was magic. So even in something like Snow Dogs.
Yeah, I would have probably said Mystery Alaska as well, and I'd probably go with like By Insomnia, and I'd probably Runaway Train, because that actually is sort of an underrated film. I feel that's a good job. Sometimes I feel Grizzly Man is too sort of like perverse, as if I'm actually actively looking at somebody that's willing to be just getting killed because of their actions.
Well, another reason I'm grateful for the existence of Runaway Train is that people like to joke about Eric Roberts. I think I've made this point before too. People like to joke about Eric Roberts because of his gigantic IMDb page. And the fact that he'll do like practically softcore movies and Lifetime movies, and then randomly have small parts in The Dark Knight and Inherent Vice, where he just does anything and everything. No matter, I will stand by this forever. No matter which of those he's incredible. Eric Roberts is an incredible actor, and he will give everything to any role in any movie. And the fact that because of Runaway Train, we can say he's an Oscar nominee makes me very grateful.
You want to declare your list, Owen, or?
I don't have one to rent. Buy Insomnia. Get rid of Snow Dogs. I don't think I have a rent, because the only thing that comes to mind with me in Alaska is a movie that wasn't even announced, so I can't really use that one. So
What would you put in?
North.
Oh, okay. Wait, what? Okay.
We'll put a pin in that for later this year.
Oh no.
You do realize, since we're talking about that portion specifically, if you were to ask Graham Greene or Kathy Bates if they could remove one thing from their filmography, do you know what they'd probably say?
I'm sure you're right.
And why do I know North well enough that I know exactly that scene?
I'm going to have to do it in such a way so Owen says it first, so then I can say, right, my antithesis to this is Bad Black. We're going back to Wakalia Wood. I need something to clean myself with.
I've got a movie I'd like to bring to Movie Club, but it is so obscure that it is never coming to Movie Club because of circumstances.
Oh, Bri wants your reaction, AJ, to Tarantino and Brad Pitt joining up again for the Film Critic film.
I'm fucking psyched about it. The annoying thing is every single person had the same reaction, which was, I thought he was going with somebody he hadn't worked with before, somebody lesser known. There's no implication he's playing the movie critic.
No.
And I don't think I'm sure it's a supporting part. And that's the thing too, is not only is he reuniting with Tarantino, but the fact that it's a supporting part makes it even more exciting. And it's like whether it be Floyd or Cliff Booth, you could almost say Bastards is enough an ensemble that even Aldo Rain's kind of a supporting part.
Yeah.
Because he really kind of bookends the movie more than he's a major player in it. Even Operation Kino, he comes in like at the end of. So Yeah.
Oh, Josie saying, Wayne, again to the science fair, Wayne Zelinsky blowing up or shrinking one of Godwin's mutated animals. Yes, please, in all caps.
Blowing up, that'd be fucking terrifying.
Oh,
What
gee.
is it like? Is it like a dog's head on a duck's body? Is that what that one thing was?
Oh, Josie says the acronyms are used so she could fit the character limit. Oh, yeah, 200 characters. Okay, that makes sense. Maybe I'll be Mrs. Brisby for Halloween. I could also see Kerry Condon as Mrs. Brisby. Better job, apparently, than Night Swim. But we'll get to that. Bry also mentions that this is something that you're going to have to watch. You know, you're going to have to watch yourself, AJ, because Bry says, yes, AJ, the montage does also come with your reactions to Bennett Miller and Tom Hardy.
Yeah, it does.
Like I said before, I wish I still had that energy. I wish I still had that much life in.
Bry also asks you, Owen, your thoughts on the Defunct Land video on the Epcot Center.
I love Defunctland. I think it's phenomenal, and it's funny because Defunctland's about ready to do American Idol Experience. That's the next one they're doing, and as somebody that was on that Idol stage twice, I'm curious to see what comes out of it. I could have submitted things too. I just didn't think about it, but because he asked for things on Twitter, and I'd like to see what everybody else's reaction to that is. When he did the Defunct Land, when he was talking about Fast Pass, the really long one that basically revealed that Circle Land, like squares, like they were all like random shapes, but basically he got it. The Iggy was the fact that it was basically talking about Animal Kingdom. I thought that was brilliant. He's absolutely wonderful, and I want to see more theme park coverage from him. He gets some things wrong sometimes when he's talking about. He's not a roller coaster enthusiast, clearly, but he loves his theme parks and he does his research. And yeah, I'm always down for anything for the Defunct Land.
And then, final direct question to you, AJ. Have you ever seen 1979's Time After Time with Malcolm McDowell and Mary Steenburgen? And adding that it's interesting how that came out before the Back to the Future trilogy.
Yeah, I saw it once a long time ago, and I have a vague memory, and I don't think I appreciated it as much then as I might now. And like many things we've talked about, there's a copy of it here, so I could do that anytime. So I'll have to. Like I was saying, I have a watch list. I need to also make a rewatch list that's a separate list. And I did that for actually a little bit, and then sometimes I just lose my will to live or something.
Bry also mentions rest in peace to Melinda Wilson, Brian Wilson's wife. And apparently, for those of you in America, Love and Mercy is currently free to watch on the YouTube Movies thing.
Such a phenomenal film.
Right, so finally the Oscars game, the songs of the 2000s.
Oh, this is tough.
I mean, if I had remembered this, I would have listened to these. These might be.
Because it's been that long we did the Q&A. I don't even know. I can't remember whether Bri put the playlist in the Discord group.
I hate to half-ass it, but you might be getting the truncated version of this from me.
So we're happy you're awake right now, honestly.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I'm talking a lot and loudly, and I think that's like, you know how when babies cry when they're fighting sleep? I think that's what it is.
So for 2000, do we go with Bob Dylan's "Things Have Changed" from Wonder Boys, or "A Love Before Time" from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Bjork's "I've Seen It All" from Dancer in the Dark, My Funny Friend and Me from Sting and The Emperor's New Groove, or A Fall in Love from Randy Newman from Meet the Parents. What a random list that is.
OJ.
I'd probably just stick with Dylan. There's the only one I remember vividly is the Meet the Parents one, just because I've seen that movie so many times. But I'm not gonna pick it. It's fine. I mean, it's fine. But I'm not
Yeah.
gonna pick it.
Ashley.
I'd probably stick with that because I don't want the words Sting and the Emperor's New Groove next to each other. I didn't mind Phil Collins and Tarzan, but Sting and Emperor's New Groove, no. That isn't Sting's style.
One of the things that I don't talk about on here, obviously we talk about music on here all the time. I still watch my music reviewers too. But the thing about it is that the concerts I've been able to go to my whole life. One concert I would never in a million years would believe I'd ever go to was Bob Dylan. So me and Howard went to Bob Dylan several years ago. So I've got to see Bob Dylan perform live, and it's quite an experience, to say the least. So having Dylan win original song at the Oscars, that feels fitting. I'm okay with that.
2001. Oh, go ahead.
I'm assuming you're happy Dancer in the Dark did not win, because if I remember correctly, Lars von Trier is credited for that song, which means if that song had won, Lars von Trier would have an Oscar.
That's what he's gonna get.
Yeah, because Lars did the lyrics with Sion or whatever the name is.
Now it gets hard.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this list and I'm just amazed that we have a new contender for Diane Warren and his name is Sting. The amount of times his name... I remember the one from a few years back and it's like, oh, that's random. No, turns out he did a shit ton in the 2000s. So, Randy Newman won for Monsters, Inc. If I Didn't Have You. But we also have Sting's Until from Kate and Leopold. Yeah, that film with Meg Ryan and Hugh Jackman that I didn't know existed. So, thank you.
That is, by the way, a James Mangold movie, if you can believe that.
Jeez, God, it gets worse.
We're in the land of when I worked at the theater, so this is going to be very familiar to me.
May It Be from Enya from Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring. There You'll Be from Diane motherfucking Warren from Pearl Harbor. And Vanilla Sky's Vanilla Sky from Paul McCartney.
Paul McCartney, yep.
I do dig the McCartney song.
Same.
I'm trying to remember the Fellowship song.
To me, it's a 2-horse race.
Once again, Randy Newman gets the same treatment. Because I've seen the movie so many times, I know that song well, but I'm not picking it. But yeah, I'll say McCartney. Yeah.
Ashley.
I would say Enya's May It Be. I remember that song much more than the one that actually won 2 years later, which we'll get to.
I know all these songs, but yeah, I have to say that 2001. I started with the theater like right as Monsters Inc. was getting ready to leave. So it didn't get drilled into my head as much as for this few weeks that we had Vanilla Sky. And I do remember watching it a lot when it was out. And I do remember it being the credit music. And yeah, Sir Paul McCartney for the win.
2002. Could be an easy one, I don't know. We have Lose Yourself from 8 Mile. Beating I Move On from Chicago. We only wrote this song because we wanted an Oscar nomination. Burn It Blue from Frida. The Hands That Built America, U2's track from Gangs of New York. and Paul Simon's father and daughter from the Wild Thornberrys movie.
I think The Hands That Built America works better when you're watching Gangs of New York end and you see that transition to the current city than it does as a standalone song. But it's fine. Yes, I'm all about Lose Yourself. And like I said, I will forever love the 2019 Oscars for letting him come back to the ceremony to celebrate that song.
Oops, there goes gravity. Owen?
You know, I don't remember much about the movie, but I'm gonna go with the one that sounds the most appropriate in my head. I would go with the Chicago song, but I don't remember anything about it. I'm gonna go with Paul Simon.
Okay.
I hate Lose Yourself for many reasons.
And by the way, I misspoke there. Not come back to the ceremony, but the fact that they brought him when he was never there the first time is why that.
Right.
2003, Into the West from Return of the King, 1. Beating out Scarlet Tide from T-Bone Burnett and Elvis Costello and performed by Alison Krauss from Cold Mountain. Then she, along with Sting, although Sting technically would get the credit because he wrote it, sang on You Will Be My Ain True Love, also from Cold Mountain. Then we have A Kiss at the End of the Rainbow from A Mighty Wind. And Belleville Rendezvous from Belleville Rendezvous. Because I'm not calling it the Triplets of Belleville. It was released over here as Belleville Rendezvous, which makes sense.
Yeah, the answer is A Mighty Wind, not just for the song, but for the context of the fact that like the whole movie's building to it.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about like the use of a song on top of the song itself, that would be it.
For me, it's a toss-up between Mighty Wind and Belleville Rendezvous.
I mean, I don't even really have to answer this. Obviously,
no,
I brought
that's why I left it sort of. We know what's coming from Owen. We already declared that in Movie Club.
Being declared, we'll get there in a second. 2004.
Yeah, so we have Al Otro Lado del Rio from the Motorcycle Diaries winning. Beating out Look to Your Path from the chorus. Learn to Be Lonely from the Phantom of the Opera. Another, we put this in because we wanted to get an Oscar nomination. Believe from Josh Groban from the Polar Express.
Oh my god.
And Accidentally in Love from Counting Crows from Shrek 2.
That Accidentally in Love fits the vibe so much of we're just putting random pop songs in a kids movie kind of thing. But I keep forgetting it's an original song for the movie.
Yeah.
I have no opinion on that lineup.
I'll just stick with Motorcycle Diaries because that's a kind of lackluster list. I mean, the fact that I mean, it wasn't a great adaptation of Phantom of the Opera anyway, and then they just we need to stick in a song because we have to get something for it to be Oscar nominated. That's why we did it for Cats. We did.
This is what I was talking about, where I might end up half-assing it. It's less that I'm actually going with Motorcycle Diaries just because I don't remember the song, and more just me saying, I'll take your guys' word for it, Academy.
For many reasons I'm not getting onto for any reason, especially on here, the correct answer is Accidentally in Love.
It just sounds like such. It's just a.
I do not give a damn. It is Accidentally in Love.
It's like every generic pop song that was coming out at that time.
It was perfect for the movie, though. And plus, I have a personal connection to it. I'm sure you could tell with the art and
We'll jump to
if you know.
2000. We'll go to
And by the
2000.
way, I've I have defended the Polar Express a lot in the past. I don't really have anything against that song either, but that's another one where it's just like it's a little generic.
It's been repeated ad nauseum too. That's another thing too. I'm burnt out, I believe.
I mean, not that I'm gonna criticize Josh Groban's fucking angel of a voice.
God.
The song itself is rather generic.
Oh, we're about to get into some really interesting territory in a minute.
Well, I know
But
what's
first-
next. I know what's next.
Yeah, you do.
2005, we shortened to 3 because we ran out of songs apparently. So we have It's Hard Out Here for a Pimp from Hustle and Flow, which beat out In the Deep from Crash, and Traveling Through from Dolly Parton for Transamerica.
I can say this from experience. To use the, I guess you'd call it current terminology, Hard Out Here for a Pimp is still absolutely a fucking banger.
Oh God, yes. You read my mind literally right there.
Like I said, I know this from experience because I've listened to it recently. And I wasn't watching the movie. I sought the song out.
Such a great song.
I fucking love them. Oh my god, I love the movie.
Same.
But yeah, sometimes I will just seek the soundtrack out by itself. Which is not really a me thing to do.
Nope.
But
See,
that's one of them.
and it sucks because that was back when Terrence Howard was on top of the world too. And I remember the Charlie Pride movie he was supposed to do before everything happened that I was really hyped about.
Also, another one where you talk about the song within the movie's context.
Oh God, yes.
Well, not only is that DJ just like bearing his soul basically, but like I said, I can never get the Wolf That Trick scene too. I can't get enough of movies where we watch them build music, where we watch DJ Qualls build those beats from the ground up.
Oh my God, you tell me about it.
I love those scenes.
And you want to talk about being excited for Marshall getting an Oscar? I was super happy to see 3-6 Mafia get an Oscar.
Jon Stewart made his famous Scorsese joke the year before The Departed.
Right?
So I think we're all agreed Hustle and Flow rightfully won.
Oh God, yes. There's literally no I'm a Crash defender, and still to this day, but no, nothing was ever beating Hustle and Flow that year, and it shouldn't have. I love Dolly too, but it's Hustle and Flow.
I still remember when they had to specifically work it out with whichever network it was at the time, so that they could say bitch uncensored just for that performance.
Yep, remember that.
2006.
Oh boy.
We have Melissa Etheridge's I Need to Wake Up from An Inconvenient Truth, which won. Beating out Randy Newman's Our Town from Cars 1. And then Listen, which I guess technically could be Beyonce. Love You I Do, which was Jennifer Hudson's performance, but obviously, not written by them. And Patience, all from Dreamgirls.
Alright, I'm gonna be real again and say that I don't remember any of those. Like what they sound like.
Yeah.
I've seen all movies involved and may have to abstain.
Fair. Ashley, you have an answer?
I'd kind of stick with an Inconvenient Truth. The Cars one is good, and the Dreamgirls ones aren't. Again, it's a sort of a situation where it's not as good as the original material, so why did you try and add stuff in? Really?
Well, that's your opinion.
If they perfected it
Well,
in if they perfected most of the really big songs in the 80s original musical, you know, they did an okay job. There's nothing that sort of like I feel they deserve being in here because I mean, hell, everything around this, you've either got a film that's nominated more than once or you haven't even got 5 nominations. That's how sort of threadbare it's become to some extent. Um, but you know, I think the sort of the ones that you think of, you know, You're Gonna Love Me and the sort of songs that were already established from the original stuff are stronger songs than the new stuff that we were provided with. As I say, I don't think they're bad. I just think the existing material is the stuff that sort of is why that is so why high regarded, even you know, nearly 20 years on, sort of thing.
So AJ, of course, abstains. Ashley's picking Melissa Etheridge. Sure. I have had a connection to Eddie Murphy's James Thunder Early performance. And Patience is always a song that I go back to, and I still go back to it to this day. And it seems like it would just be like a ballad that most people wouldn't even think about. But for some reason, it's kind of resonated in my head throughout these years. And it's really the truth. It's like no matter, like literally the lyrics are, there's a river to cross, there are bridges to cross, there's a river to cross, there's bridges to climb. Patience is going to take some time. So no matter what you do, just have patience because you never know what might happen if you wait things out. Because if you wait long enough, everything comes your way. Sometimes it just takes a while. And I try to live life like that. Whether it's true or not, I try to think of that option.
Falling slowly.
Well, the answer is falling slowly.
But I'll say the others. For the sake of everything, we got Raise It Up from August Rush, and then Happy Working Song So Close, and That's How You Know from Enchanted. But yeah, it's falling slowly. When it's the people you know that are in it that write it themselves as well.
So yeah, Once resonated with me huge back then because I literally, like, for all intents and purposes, basically lived that life for a minute. And I fell in love with Falling Slowly immediately. And I sang it on the Disney Fantasy. They did like a cruise night where like you could go on the stage and they let the people that were staying on the ship like a talent show without like winners or anything, just perform. I remember doing Falling Slowly there. And I remember AJ really got me into American Idol at this point because I remember Chris Allen's performance of Falling Slowly that we watched at Buffalo Wild Wings one night because that's back when we were in the Idol for a very, very small amount of time for that season, especially. Like Danny Goki and Chris Allen, and it's like AJ does not remember this, I'm sure, but I do remember him getting me in Idol. I remember us watching it at beat-ups. But yeah, Chris Allen's version of Falling Slowly, which I could have potentially heard at Epcot last year, but we all know how last year went, so that didn't work out. But yeah, Falling Slowly is probably one of the greatest soundtrack songs of all time, and you cannot tell me otherwise. I will say
that whole movie's soundtrack. Good God.
Yeah, everything about Once is phenomenal. But I would be playing devil's advocate if I didn't say that I still like the songs from Enchanted, but nothing. There is no answer here, like at all. I do like the songs from Enchanted a lot. So Close was solid back in the day. That's How You Know I listen to constantly. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's Falling Slowly versus ... So
Also, with context, that's another one where the scene in the movie is like the birth of the song.
Oh yeah,
The first time we hear the song in the movie.
certainly.
And that's where it sort of began, really, for
Yeah.
Carney. Because I liked the songs in Begin Again, especially Coming Up Roses, and certainly Knightley's version of Lost Stars.
Mm-hmm.
Take it the hell away from Adam Levine, damn it.
Accurate. Completely accurate.
And I still think of Rhythm of the Model quite often from Sing Street. I think it was, yeah, the Riddle of the Model, sorry. I thought it was Rhythm of the Model.
Beginning of the year that we're getting to that shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, to 2008, where we have Jai Ho from Slumdog, Osaya from Slumdog, and Down to Earth from Wally.
That's when they had Peter Gabriel like so embarrassed about the circumstance they had to have John Legend perform it at the Oscars.
Where they basically wanted to make the Slumdog show.
That's exactly what it was. Hence the joke we make all the time. Now there's context.
Well, I will tell you that if you were around for that award season, Slumdog got really annoying.
Yeah, big time.
Which sucks because Slumdog is fucking great.
Fantastic movie.
And so when I've watched Slumdog again multiple times over time since 2008, Jai-Ho has really grown on me. And it's this fantastic ending.
Mm-hmm.
Because for a movie that's so kind of dark and brutal and gritty, it's really satisfying that the ending is so happy.
The only reason I sort of, I'm saying it as well, but I say it kind of through gritted teeth because the amount of radio play that they got with the Nicole Scherzinger version, rather than the version that appears in the film, Nicole ruins it. But the version that's in the film is perfectly fine.
Yeah, so but the problem is that Down to Earth is so good too.
Yeah, it is.
And it's like, and you can hate on it for being an end credits song, but it takes you out on a particular vibe where that movie ended also. This one's actually tough. I'm probably more likely. Fuck, I don't know. I'll say Jai-Ho was the right choice, but it or Down to Earth, it would have both worked.
Like AJ said, Jai-Ho got really annoying during the award season, especially when you were a fan of Wally and you were watching. It was like, hey, let's just like take this 2 seconds of this bit of the song so we can get back to the A.R. Rahman show. Which was obnoxious to me, and I hated it. But I love Slumdog, and Jai-Ho got it right. He did the Daniel Garcia dance before it was a real thing, so here you go.
And then 2009.
This is a good one. This is a really good lineup.
The Weary Kind from Crazy Heart. Beating out Take It All from 9.
Yeah.
Which again, is that another case of we put a song in so it can be in contention?
Mine was fine though.
Loin de Panam, or Loin de Panam, from Paris 36. And then Almost There and Down in New Orleans from the Randy Newman for Princess and the Frog.
I would have been fine with anything from Princess and the Frog, but as was the vibe at the time of that award ceremony, it was pretty clear the Weird Kind was the favorite all season,
Oh yeah.
and there's a reason for that. That song by itself may have actually really helped Bridges get his too.
I'm sure it did actually.
Oh, it did the sweep. It got the Satellite Award, it got the Critics' Choice, it got the Globe, it got the Oscar, and then 11 months later, it got the Grammy. So, what was it? Hang on, let me see what was up against at the Grammys.
It deserved every win it got.
That's another one too, where it's like, yeah, it's an end credits. I mean, it's in the movie obviously, but then it's also the end credits song. But the thing about it is the way that it's like, it's already playing during the ending itself, and then the credits just kind of go into that when it's already going. And it's a really, and that ending is really nice too to Crazy Heart. So
Tears
wow.
are already flowing. Time
Yep.
hits anyway. So just
So much like what we were saying about the 2008 movies in regards to its context, also.
So at the Grammys, it was up against Down in New Orleans, but it was also up against Kiss Like Your Kiss from one of the episodes of True Blood, This City from Steve Earle from Treme, David Simon's series that came after The Wire, and then randomly Leona Lewis's I See You from Avatar. I completely forgot that Leona Lewis did a song that featured in Avatar.
Oh yeah, I remember that song vaguely. The Weary Kind is the correct answer.
Yeah.
But given the fact that I have to shout this out because it's me, I've had a kinship with Almost There for a while now, and it's easily number 2 on this list for sure. But yeah, you weren't beating Ryan Bingham. It was not possible. Because Crazy Heart's such a great movie.
I love the connotations they both had with movies from that year, where it was Ryan Bingham and T-Bone Burnett.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, T-Bone Burnett looks weirdly like Cameron does right now when Avatar was big.
Yep.
And Ryan Bingham being Clooney's character name and up in the air.
Yep.
That was just really weird.
Interesting seasons.
All right, are we getting out of here?
Yes.
Yeah, Bry basically says, what should we do for sound? We've done 60s. I propose the 80s.
That's fair. I might be able to get in that conversation.
At least with the 80s, we've got like a few which are by default because there was only one entry, or they were just listed as special achievements because they couldn't make a list out of it. Because I'm always wary about going, well, we did 60s, which is where it started splitting up into sort of mixing and whatever. It's weird, they sort of brought it together back in the 70s and then split it again midway through, so we'll go with the 80s, I think. Brian. So there you go. In terms of live streams from us, it'll be a week on Monday.
Yep.
I think. Hang on. Let me get my. I actually bothered to write it down. And I think
it's on here, so obviously no access. There we go.
It's the tit book.
Accurately, it is.
Yes. So yeah, we'll be back. Back next Sunday. Sorry, not Monday. Where we'll recap the DGA and what pictures we get from it from like Eric Anderson and those that are inside the room, because they always seem to be. And we will wrap that into our BAFTA predictions. And then tentatively, like last year, the guys will be having to use me as a purloiner of the feed. So we may be doing a live post. You won't be getting it for the Oscars, but you might be getting a live post show from the BAFTAs. Whereas usual, I'll be going, all these were announced before the thing actually started broadcasting, as I usually do.
I think it helps that for us the BAFTAs are in the middle of the day.
That's the
Yes,
reason why we're
that's
doing
probably why we're doing it, because
that.
the because of the football that they'll be showing, that'll have to be finished by in or around 5 or 5:30 your time, Eastern that is. So it sort of just about fits for it to be in or about 6 Eastern, which is what we normally do anyway. So it gels. So yeah, that's your schedule. I think I don't know whether we put out a movie club in that gap that we've got, like between the Oscars and the WGAs, and wrap it
No,
up then.
no. I'll make
Which
the
one?
executive decision right now. Movie club returns after the award season ends.
Oh, okay.
We can stop,
Yeah,
so we can focus on everything
yeah,
right now, and then after the award season's over, we can get back to.
Yeah, but
well,
WGA is in that sort of weird bit.
yeah. To clarify, the end of award season for us is after the Oscar ceremony.
Right.
Technically, the end of award season is after WGA, which is not.
That's where
That's
that's where I'm sort of saying it will go after the
yeah,
Oscars, before the WGAs.
yeah. After the Oscar ceremony, we'll get back
Mm-hmm.
to normal. I think as normal is whatever normal is.
For the most part.
Yeah. So, with that, that's your lot from us. Thank you, Josie, Bry. There was one random peek in from Spencer. Where is it? Let me find it. Good old DG, Spencer just said. That,
Fair.
that, that sounds like it's something to. Change the letters and it sounds like it should be something from Top Cat. Good old DC! Yeah. So yeah. You'll be seeing gaming stuff from myself and maybe some sip and snacks. Sorry, snack stashes. Over the next week in between now and next Sunday. AJ's movie review will hopefully be coming up later this week. You've also got Bry's edit of all our reactions together as well.
Very first, no matter when it comes out, that will be the tentative. That is the date for that video, just like AJ's review is February 2nd.
You can also catch up on the other stuff from us, be it my gaming stuff, mine or Owen's food and drinks, snack stuff. AJ's movie reviews and verses, Owen's and Voices of Liberty ceremonies, or whatever we call them, performances.
Performances.
The catch up on the you can catch up as well on the movie club, and if the Bry edit wets your whistle, check out all the other awards content where we discuss.
Nice
See the original reaction to Will It Help? Or Sal? Or all the other memes? The donkey with the headphones? Find out where it started. All in the playlist. You can find us on the socials. Owen is at Owen Disney. On Twitter X. I'm also on there at Ash is my name UK. AJ cannot be found on social media. And just like Eminem is waiting 17 years to get his chance to perform at the Oscars. I'm not saying when
That's
the first
fair.
time he wanted to perform at the Oscars is, but whenever it'll be, it won't be till 17 years later. We'll see. So with that, thank you everybody for watching and listening. Seancing with a Ouija board if you're that way inclined. And that might have made a good Ouija sequel, I don't know. Until next time, everybody. That is all we got to say about that.